Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Randazzo. I'm joined by my two... Oh, God. Let me think about this one. It's kind of, yesterday was so nice. Today's shit. It snowed, it rained. I don't know. Seasonally depressed co-host. To my right, it is the one and only. It is Uncle Sam.
Hello.
To my left, it's none other than our very own Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo.
I'm caught off guard by how warm it was yesterday. Just
Such a good day.
just to curveball us today.
I know.
It's just bad.
Today's just a pile of shit.
It ain't great.
No. Behind the computer, shoveling mounds of his own goo, it's Bruce the Tugboat. Venditti.
Hello.
Look at that. Look at how proud. Bruce, you're looking awfully proud today. You got the jeans on instead of some shitty painty sweatpants. You're repping the Tip Ball sweater.
Jeans every day.
Wow, I've never seen you wear a pair of jeans.
I wear the jeans.
Usually your jeans are in the laundry because they have too much goo on them.
Leon, how do you get a heads up typically? Do we send you a
I
link?
gave him the heads up. He just wasn't paying attention. Prez, you need to be on your shit better. Prez. Anyways, NFL draft is what, 8 days away? 9 days away? 9 days away?
First round's 9 days away.
9 days
A
away.
little less.
9 days away. So it's full court press on the NFL draft. We're gonna throw it around today. We're gonna go over some of the experts' picks. We're gonna go over our own picks. Give you a little synopsis on what we should do through the whole first round. Obviously, there's a lot of emphasis on Shedeur Sanders. There's a lot of emphasis on Travis Hunter, both of which are having their numbers retired at Colorado. I believe today or tomorrow. I saw.
Uncle Sam, people aren't happy with that because Cordell Stewart was a top 10 team in back-to-back years, and he never got his number retired. What are your thoughts on that?
Stupid. Stupid. Don't ever retire numbers. It's stupid.
Really?
I don't believe in it.
You wouldn't retire a number?
Nope.
What about Joe Montana?
No.
Nobody, eh?
I think somebody else should be able to do it, dude.
Wow.
Listen, it's the person. It's the name. It's not the number.
Godspeed.
The name says everything.
Before we
Barry
get
Sanders wouldn't have had 20 if they would have retired it.
who was 20 before Barry?
Billy Sims, Len Barney, Hall of Fame.
Before we get into all that, Uncle Sam, how has your last 8 days since we last met
Great.
been? High points, low points, pits and peaks.
Mock draft.
You've been mock drafting?
Mock draft.
Did you eat anything good over the weekend?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nothing.
What, you just went on a hunger strike all
I'm
weekend?
fasting.
Oh, I heard about this. Bruce, aren't you fasting right now?
I fast every day.
He's doing some intermittent fasting. What are your thoughts on intermittent fasting, Uncle Sam?
The stupidest thing I've ever fucking heard, dude.
Why?
Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
He thinks everything's dumb. Going
I think
on a
it's
diet,
dumb.
taking care of your body.
And I think it's not. Fuck you, dude. Keep eating those things, you'll die real soon.
Okay.
Zolo, how has your last 8 days been since we last met?
Good.
High points, low points, pits, peaks? A lot of pickle?
Pickle 3 days a week.
Wow.
At
That's a
a
ton of
minimum,
pickle.
I think I might have been 4 last week. I'm shooting for 4 this week. Wow.
Are you going to go Ampro and pickle?
No, there's people that are good.
You can be out
people that are
pickled
good.
still?
Oh yeah.
You haven't hit the...
I'm pretty good though. I'm pretty good, but yes, I can be out pickled.
I
People
feel
I
like-
play with out pickled.
I feel like I need to pickle.
Yeah.
I just need to go out there and try
You
it.
got no excuse. It's addicting.
Is it?
It's yeah, like it's. I don't know if you know any other picklers, but it's our personality. Like the people who play it consistently, like it's you invest in it.
You
invest
become
in
the pickle.
paddles. You invest in shoes. Indoor, you got to invest. It's fun. It's just fun. It's fun. It's a great workout.
We need to... Speaking of sports and athletics, we need to give a shout out to Tip Softball. We're just 7 days away from first pitch on Tip Softball's third season, I believe. I think this is the third season. And I don't know if you've been in the loop, but last year's champions are no longer in our league.
Did they go up or are they gone altogether?
They went up.
And that's Dobie?
Gone. We don't have to deal with them anymore.
So how many teams are there this year?
8. We went from 7 to 8. They added. We took a team that did not win a game in the Wednesday night league last year has now moved into Tuesday.
There's a term for that. It's It's called relegation.
And then there's a new team. A new team.
Do we know who they are?
Don't know who they are, but I believe that the team name is Inglorious Batters.
You know, there's going to be a bunch of tryhards on that team and a lot of Zin pouches.
Bruce, are you excited for the start of Tip softball?
I am.
You are. As everybody knows, Bruce is the stoned man
Behind the plate.
behind the dish, just out there, just vacuuming shit up, all stoned as shit.
Really quick, Leon, not me, not Bruce, not Uncle Sam, but
Yeah.
Leon would like to know how your days have been.
Not a bad week, Leon. Not a bad week. I'm here, and that's what matters. I'm here. Bruce, how has your last 8 days been?
Par.
Par? Par. Did you watch any Masters?
No, I don't watch that shit.
I watched a little bit of Saturday, and I watched a good amount
I'm
on
to
Sunday.
the point
Did you?
where it's like, okay,
Masters
we
is
talk about football because we can't suit up and go out there and play football. I don't watch golf because I can just drive down the street and golf.
So you think
No point of watching other people golf when I can just go golf.
so when you're doing the twilight tea time at Chandler Park, you're imagining yourself fighting for Rory's green jacket, is what you're saying.
Sure.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that mindset. I absolutely love that. On next Tuesday, when you take that final stroke of the pen before you head out there, you're going to be sitting there in your own head saying, wow, I am Pudge Rodriguez. That's it. I'm on the juice, I'm on the weed, and I am ready to Roomba. I love that. That's a fantastic mindset. So, football. When is football back? That's the question I have for both of you. Is football back at the draft, or is that just like a little swig? You're just wetting the beak into
No.
football, so to
Football, I think, is back at training camp.
say. Okay.
And on top of that, a crazy like three decade in the making pivot that's happened around here is the draft is no longer our Super Bowl.
True.
The draft, like I almost, of course, I'm interested. Of course, I there's players that, of course, I'm very well versed because it's college meeting pro, which is great. But from a Lions fan perspective, I'm no longer heavily invested in the draft like I used to be because we pick so high typically, or low. I've never understood the difference. Like, is it low or high? But anyways, they have a pick later in the first round the last couple of years. I get excited for the draft no matter what. I wouldn't call it football back. In fact, I would say the looming schedule release, which I believe is about 1 month from now, is even more like I'm excited for football than that. Football being back for me is when everyone reports to camp and those reports leak out and you get the first inkling of the depth chart and all that. That's when football's back for me.
So, and I kind of agree with that. Now that the draft is not in Detroit, and now that we are not picking in the top 5, which is a rarity, it's not nearly as exciting as it could have been. I do think that there is a little bit of a lure to this draft, though, because I think there's quite a bit of uncertainty at the top. And whenever you get that uncertainty at the top, when those top 5 picks, you really don't know how they're going to mash out, that's exciting. I think the only pick that we have some real clarity on is 1. I really do.
And is that you're saying is pick 1? You think
Pick 1
is clear?
The first pick, I in my heart of hearts believe is clear. I know Uncle Sam, and we're gonna talk about.
Define clear.
I think the Titans are going Cam Ward.
Yeah.
I don't think that everything that I'm reading, things are getting a lot softer on Shedeur Sanders. Everything I'm reading is that the Titans are all in on a quarterback, and ultimately, I really think Cam Ward goes there. I know Uncle Sam thinks it's the wrong pick, and I want to talk about that amongst all of us, what we think is right and wrong. But we're going to try and go through the entire first round, or wherever there's some relevancy, and we're going to compare and contrast. Before we do that, I saw a trending topic today that has to do with our Detroit Lions that I would love to discuss with you guys. And I'm especially excited to hear your answer on this. Do we know what number second round pick the Lions own?
It's later.
60.
It's 60?
I think he's right.
Okay. So I believe the Giants exercised their fifth year option on Kayvon Thibodeau today.
Mm-hmm.
Both parties are. It's being said that both parties are looking for a new home for Kayvon Thibodeau on that 5th year extension, so to say. And so what I saw on Twitter from multiple sources today was that the Lions would be interested in giving up 60 in exchange for Kayvon Thibodeau. I want to hear both of your guys' thoughts. I know he has been back and forth in terms of production. I would love to know what you guys think. And especially as high as he was drafted, would you be willing to give up 60 for him? Or is that not the answer? Is that not your answer to play opposite of Aiden Hutchinson? Uncle Sam.
To give up 60?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd do it in a minute.
Why?
Well, you're getting a guy that when he's on, he's on. I just think there was a lot of dysfunctional shit going on with the Giants. And if they like Abdul Carter, like they say, they're going to draft him regardless.
You're not at all worried
About what?
about bringing him in with the ups and downs that he's had.
The 60th pick, a second-round pick, for first-round talent, you do it.
Zolo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd love it, but I think the cost would be too high. I think it would cost you more than a second-round pick. And if that's the case, I think that would bow the Lions out. But yeah,
I mean, you don't even know if you're going to be able to sign him either. That's the problem. What, do you rent them for a year?
and that's
I mean, that could be a 1-year rental.
so. What's the question? Is the question is would we like it and are we interested or is it going to happen? What's the question?
I think both.
Of course, I love it. Uncle Sam's going to be shocked to hear this, but I liked Kayvon Thibodeau as much as I liked Aiden Hutchinson coming out of college. If they went with Kayvon Thibodeau at 2 in real time, which of course, looking back on it now, it might not be the case. Hutchinson's probably the better player, but in real time, if they ended up with Thibodeau over Hutchinson, I would have been cool with it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have complained about it.
I would have been very cool with it.
No.
So he's a good player. The production may be inconsistent. I think the Lions operate on a little bit more of a functional defense than the Giants do. I think he would thrive here. I think he would absolutely thrive here opposite Aiden
See, the
Hutchinson.
problem is he a Campbell guy? That's the thing. I think that's the reason why they didn't take him.
That's a very fair question.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I don't think it's going to happen is another rumor, which I would like to discuss with you guys. Not a rumor, but a theory. Mike Payton from A to Z Sports, who has his own Lions blog. He used to work for Pride of Detroit. Really intuitive guy with covering the Lions. He comes up with some really weird predictions that end up coming true. He made a prediction yesterday that there's a high probability that someone we're not talking about isn't going to be a big name that's unsigned, that doesn't have a contract extension, isn't going to be a Lion probably next year, maybe as soon as this year because of a trade. And it could be anybody. These are the unsigned, big name unsigned guys. Unlikely to be Hutchinson. I think that's out of the question, but he's technically on the list, but I'm not going to say Hutchinson. So the two safeties, Branch and Joseph,
Kirby.
Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta.
I've been hearing the Williams thing quite a bit.
The one that this guy singled out was JMO.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I don't think.
And on top of that, all of the evidence, there's a really big piece of evidence that came in yesterday. All of the evidence points to it being very plausible because they talked to Matthew Golden. They've talked to other receivers, but they're taking receivers seriously in this draft, which they should have done last year. And Mike Payton argued that it makes sense to trade a receiver because receivers are very expensive versus the production. They're the new running back, essentially. Like, look what the Bengals did. They're going to get bit in the ass for doing that. So we're overpaying receivers versus production. And JMO is great. I love him. They're going to pick up his 5th-year option. I think he fits here. He's really good with the culture. He's been awesome when he's been on the field. That being said, when you talk about picking up the 5th-year option, then he's going to come in and ask for like 4 years, $80 million. I don't think they're going to be thinking that.
if not more.
If not more, it's probably more.
4 years, 100 million.
Could be.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility that someone we're not talking about. There was a case for Sam Laporta a couple weeks ago. There was a case that they could trade Sam Laporta.
The two that stick out to me out of what you said, I think Hutchinson's a Lion for life, personally.
Agreed.
I think that the two you could see move on would be J-Mo and Kirby Joseph.
Kirby Joseph, here's the problem. Kirby Joseph epitomizes everything that they do well. And when I say everything, I mean like it's a notch in Brad Holmes's belt for drafting him and hitting on him. It's a notch in Kirby Joseph's belt for leading the league in interceptions. Now, safeties are kind of a dime a dozen.
Right.
That's also like case in point, like you can draft a safety. If he's skilled enough and buys into your system, you could plug him in and things could work out. So you might not be wrong. J-Mo to me, like also is the he's actually trending on Twitter in Detroit right now, by the way. J-Mo, I'm looking at it as we speak. J-Mo to me makes sense because receivers are like it's arguably, is it not the most common position in the draft is wide receiver?
I would say so.
Like, is it the
Or
most drafted
offensive
position?
line.
Yeah, if we include the whole unit, then yeah. So backtracking, I'm off on a tangent. On the Thibodeau thing, I don't think they're going to trade for him because they're probably not going to sign him what he wants because they already are going to have trouble signing the guys in-house. And I think that's priority number one. I also think that that's why they haven't taken a run at any of these other guys yet, these big names. Of course, they can afford to do it right now. And like, I'm with you on the rental thing, but I don't think Brad Holmes is going to pay second-round pick money
Not him.
for a rental because they need to take all the money that they need to spend. And the way you make it work is you balance it with rookie contracts. So there's going to be an emphasis on how well they draft because they're going to have contributions coming from their draft class this year. They're going to have contributors. In 3 rounds, I think the top 3 rounds, you're going to get contributors.
So
Just my opinion on that.
jumping back to the Thibodeau thing here, the number one odds right now are that he ends up in Baltimore for the 27th pick.
Yeah.
Of course they can make that happen.
That just seems like it would just fit to. That just fits so
There,
well.
he winds up in Philly.
Or yeah, right.
Howie,
right.
Howie Roseman spreads his magic.
Should we jump into the mocks? I think that's going to be the move here. Okay. So the first overall pick amongst all of our experts, which in this case is Field Yates, Daniel Jeremiah, and Bucky Brooks, they all unanimously have the Titans taking Cam Ward number 1 overall. I agree. I think it's going to happen. I would love to hear from both of you why it should and or shouldn't. I know your thoughts already, but I would love to hear them in detail. Go ahead.
On what?
On-
We're going number 1?
Yes.
Oh, he's probably going to go number 1.
Yes, but you don't think he should.
I personally, and I'm going to be honest with you, the best player in the draft is Travis Hunter. Period.
No argument for me.
And I think being there picking at, what, 32? I mean, you can come back, get your quarterback there. You don't necessarily have to go with Cam Ward if you're not in love with the guy. You know? I think there's going to be 3 quarterbacks gone in the first round personally, but I think at that point I would take Travis Hunter. I just think he's your generational type player, and you can't pass that up for need.
So you would take Travis Hunter
I would take Travis Hunter. Listen, you got
and just roll with Will Levis for
There you
one
go.
more year.
roll with Levis another year. Try to build that. I mean, is anybody hungry for Cam Ward? Is there anybody out there says, God damn, we need a quarterback. I'm going to move up and take Cam Ward. Sure.
I don't think so.
I mean, if you're not getting that, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? If you're not getting offers for that number 1 pick, if you're Tennessee, I would take Travis Hunter.
Zolo, your thoughts?
Yeah, we're beating a dead horse. I'm with Uncle Sam. Travis Hunter's. Yeah, I've said it before. He's the best college football player I've ever seen. I think he's the best player in the draft, but if the Titans feel that they need to kickstart everything with the quarterback, then it would be Cam Ward. If I'm making this pick, I'm picking Travis Hunter. I'm not arguing them picking Cam Ward.
What did Brad Holmes say? You get worse at that position faster than you can get better.
Yeah,
Way easier to get
that's
worse.
that's a great
Yeah.
point. That's a great
So
point.
I don't know, dude. I would take the best player available, personally. I think these guys, when you draft for need, that you're normally going to be in trouble for quite a while.
Oh, I mean, it's pretty hard for me to disagree with you there, but I don't know. It's just Will Levis has never shown anything other than buffoonery. That's the problem.
I mean, he had a really rough start of last year. I get it. But you know what? I've seen flashes of that guy to where he can put the ball in spots. He reminds me a lot of Matt Stafford. They got the big arm.
They can't afford to operate on flashes, though. I feel like.
I understand that, but you know what? You better hope to God you're striking the iron here, because it is what it is. I mean, is there much of a difference between Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Jackson Dart? Out of those three guys, there's the three top quarterbacks coming out in this draft.
I don't think so.
I don't think all three of them are probably going to be quarterbacks in this league, but none of them are jumping out and saying, "Hey, I'm the fucking best guy here."
Okay. So if you were picking number one and you were Tennessee, who would you take?
If I was picking number one, I'd take Travis Hunter.
Same.
For our mock draft purposes,
Obviously, it's going to be Cam Ward.
We're going for accuracy here. So
Cam Ward.
Let's put Cam Ward.
the second pick, the Cleveland Browns. Mel Kiper has them taking Travis Hunter at 2.
Yeah.
Lance Zierlein has them taking Abdul Carter. And Maurice Jones-Drew also has them taking Abdul Carter. Do with that what you will. It seems to be consensus that it's going to be one of those two guys. They had Shedeur going to Cleveland in earlier mocks, but that has since fallen off. These are the latest, because I went back and I noticed that the ones that we originally picked were from mid-March. Right. These all came out within the last couple of days. It's Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter at 2 for Cleveland. Your thoughts? Obviously, I think we'd all pick Travis Hunter.
I think what they're trying to do in Cleveland is build something there, but I would take Hunter if he's there. But I get the wanting to get Abdul Carter in there. You're going to pair him up with Garrett, and you're going to have the
most dominant.
You're going to have a pretty exciting thing to watch there, I think. I mean,
at 2 would go with Travis Hunter
over Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you have Myles Garrett and you just paid him, you can always find someone. They can get someone in the second round that could come in and contribute and be fine. I don't think the Browns can afford to miss someone as dynamic as Travis Hunter. He solves multiple holes for them instantly. Yeah. And I think they're a perfect candidate to play him both ways as well if they want to do. He could easily line up at
and
CD2.
they re-signed Joe Flacco.
And they re-signed Joe Flacco.
I think what he just said is the key. Travis Hunter came out and said that he would rather not play than only play corner. He wants to play both sides of the ball.
I think that these guys just need to just be quiet and get drafted.
Well, I don't think he's going to be an every snap guy on the offensive side of the ball, but I think if you told him, hey, we're going to have packages designed for you, and I think he'd be okay with that, which is why if it was me, and this is my mock, I have him going number 2. Realistically, I think Cleveland locking up Myles Garrett said more in favor of Travis Hunter than it did in favor of Abdul Carter. I think that they could really use him. I think he'd be a huge morale boost to everybody involved in that dumpster fire of an organization right now. And I think that using him on both sides of the ball would really give them an X factor that they're lacking.
Yeah.
I like Travis Hunter to go number 2. personally over Abdul Carter.
Yeah, I'm building a mock in real time right now. By the way,
Okay.
I'm selecting. Can we agree on this? Can we go with Travis?
I'm going with Travis Hunter.
They'd be stupid not to.
Number 3, Field Yates has the Giants taking Abdul Carter. Lance Zierlein has the Giants taking Travis Hunter. And Maurice Jones-Drew has the Giants taking Shedeur Sanders. So we have 3 opinions, 3 different guys. My biggest question here, because we've already discussed Hunter, do you buy into the fact that the Giants, because this has been going around for a long time, Shedeur said it at the end of last year that he's going to be playing the Cowboys twice a year. Do you think that the Giants are in on Shedeur Sanders?
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
I do. I don't think it's. I don't think they'd be getting good enough value to take him at 3. I think that there might be a scenario where they trade, but I definitely think they can and they should be doing homework. Now, that brings up a good question. He is working out today for a contingent of teams, Shedeur, and the team that sent the most people is the New York Giants. And former Jets GM from the Rex Ryan era, Mike Tannenbaum, who's on ESPN, brought up 2 points of when something like this happens, like when you work out specifically for a team, it's indicative of 2 things. Number 1, they heard something about you recently that they want to verify. And number 2, they're just unsure of you. They're not sure. Like, there's people in the scouting department that are unsure of what's going on.
They passed up on the quarterback last year, and that burned them.
Burned them bad.
Yeah.
Now, bringing in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, if you were going to have draft Shedeur and say, okay, we're not gonna start you day 1, are there 2 guys that you could think of in the quarterback room better suited as mentors than those 2?
I'm going to say this. If you draft Shedeur Sanders, you're playing him.
Day 1.
There's no way he's going to sit on the bench behind anybody else.
I really, in my heart of hearts, think if this move were to happen,
He's
Russell
a
Wilson would
prideful
still be the
guy.
starter.
He's not going to do that.
Zolo?
Um,
I love the idea of him
so do I.
sitting behind those 2.
There's
I just
some.
don't think. Listen to me. He's a Sanders. There's no way that you're going to be able to bench that ego. He's going to play whoever he's going to play. He's going to beat everybody out that he's playing in training camp. I'm telling you.
The one reason I like, the one thing inside of me that wants me to fight against that, there's one variable. It's Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll is a quarterback guy. He understands quarterbacks. He turned Josh Allen into what he is. He did a lot of damage with Tua and Jalen Hurts, I believe, at Alabama. He's extremely sharp. And I like the one takeaway I had from the Hard Knocks last year that they did on the Giants, the offseason Hard Knocks, is I was extremely impressed with everything Daboll was doing and saying when he was interviewing the quarterbacks in the room. And he had all of them.
Yeah.
I think if Brian Daboll deems if they went that route, which I don't think they're going to, and he deems Shedeur not necessary, I think it's for a reason. I think that Shedeur can lean into that and still grow. You're not off, though.
I think you're going to have teams moving up to grab him. Personally,
Shedeur.
yes,
So you could,
but
see the
I
Giants
don't
trading
see
him.
it being the Giants. I think the Giants are. I don't see them doing.
So then obviously, and I could be wrong, but you think Abdul Carter finds a home in New York?
Yes.
Let's make the case.
Well, just because Carter's versatile. What people don't understand is he's played off-ball linebacker and inside. He can go either way. And I think they're going to come up with some scheme with him to be a pass rusher, but more of a linebacker / pass rusher like Micah Parsons was early in his career. I think you're going to see that same thing.
Zolo, what's your gut telling you? Is Abdul Carter going to the Giants?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Abdul Carter there.
Yeah.
If something changes the next week, we can if something changes after this workout, we can talk. I think that Abdul Carter might be the second best player in the draft, and if the Giants were smart, they wouldn't pick with their jobs on the line.
Yeah.
And if they like Shador, I'm literally reading this in real time on Twitter right now. If they like Shador enough, they can go back and trade for him. They can trade, not Burns, but they could. We were talking about Thibodeau. They can go trade Thibodeau in a pick and go up and jump and get him. Like, I think that's totally in the realm of possibility. They have enough assets to maybe make that happen, and maybe they will. But I think at 3, it's Abdul Carter. That's my guess.
Okay. Moving on to the 4th pick, the New England Patriots. Mel Kiper has them taking offensive tackle from LSU, Will Campbell. Lance Zierlein also agrees and has them taking Will Campbell. And it's a sweep. All 3 of our experts have the Patriots taking offensive tackle Will Campbell.
You got to protect that young quarterback.
Got to protect
you
Drake
got.
May. I think that one kind of goes without saying.
No.
Do you have any differing opinions there?
I still don't love their receiving core.
No, neither do I.
And there's no scenario where Travis Hunter's there, but I'd take a flyer on him if he's there. If the 3 names that we discussed are gone, well, I don't know if I'm going with Will Campbell. I'm prioritizing.
This is Vrabel we're talking
Right.
about now.
That's the thing.
That's where we got to think.
Wouldn't you want to go defense if that's the case?
Mason
I mean,
Graham?
I would think an edge rusher.
You
I would think
you
an
take
edge.
Mason Graham there?
Oh, you're talking to a Michigan guy. I just think they
personally,
need edge rush help more.
I think he's probably better than the edge rushers that you have out there. I think Graham is better. I think you hit a home run with him. I don't.
My only thought here, and just because of how hot Drake May came on at the end of last year, I think they found their quarterback, and I think their number one priority has to be to protect him and strengthen that offensive line. I think that one's one of my set in stone ones as well. Could be wrong because the Patriots need everything. They need wide receiver. They could go Tet McMillan there. They need defense. The Mason Graham thing, he seems like he would be a good Vrabel guy. It all makes sense.
That kind of
I know. That makes
either
sense.
Will Campbell or him.
But I really think they're going to go offensive line.
They should. They should go offensive line.
Should we?
That's who I would say they were going to take.
The one name I will float at edge rusher because I was hinting to it. Like, you're not off with Graham. I don't think you're far off with Graham. The name I'll float though is Jalen Walker from Georgia. Other than that, yeah, I'm behind. I'm gonna mock Will Campbell here. Does that work?
That's perfect. Absolutely. We're moving on to 5, and that's Jacksonville. I feel like Jacksonville's another one of those teams that needs a little bit of everything. Field Yates has them taking Mason Graham. Zierlein agrees and has them taking Mason Graham. But Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Tet McMillan and going wide receiver at 5.
Well, they've lost a few guys.
Yes, they have. Do you want to hear his reasoning for this?
Yeah.
Because the only name realistically I've seen here is Mason Graham, pretty much unanimously. He says that Liam Cohen aims to replicate what he had in Tampa with a pair of talented wide receivers as the center of the offense. And McMillan is the perfect complement with insane physicality to Brian Thomas Jr.
Yes. I agree with that.
But I still think they're going to go with Mason Graham.
I think they should go with Mason Graham.
I think they do too.
I think they
have to
should go
build
with
their
Mason
defense.
Graham. This draft has receivers. You got a guy in Brian Thomas. The rest of their receiving core, Christian Kirk is still there, right?
It's gone.
He's gone. Who's still there? Hold on.
Let's pull that up.
Jags wide receiver depth chart. That's a great fit. If it's Tet McMillan,
That's what I was
a
thinking.
hell of a fit.
I mean, that's the sexy pick.
Oh yeah, that's
Mason Graham is the use your brain pick.
Their wide receivers at this point are Brian Thomas, Gabe Davis, Diami Brown, Parker Washington, Joshua Cephas, Austin Trammell, David White Jr., and Louis Res Zamet.
So maybe they could, but here's my counter to that. Someone good will be there when they pick early in round 2.
Correct.
I think one of these names will be there. Maybe 2. Matthew Golden, Emeka Ibuka, Luther Burden.
I think
think-
all three of them could be there.
All three of them could be there. I think
Yeah.
I think one of those names could be there, and I think if
You're not
if
going
you
to get
need,
Mason Graham there.
yeah,
No.
exactly. If you need a receiver, and it starts to thin out, like if two of those names do disappear, trade up. You have a good pick in pick 36. Pair it up with someone. Go trade up. It happens all the time. Teams trading up for wide receivers or corners at the beginning of the second round happens all the time. Therefore, for that reason,
It happened last year, didn't it?
I believe it's
Yeah.
happened the last couple years.
Yeah.
Last year it was there was this crazy run on
Keon
receivers,
Coleman.
Keon
Yeah.
Coleman, and the year before it was corners. The Steelers traded up for like Joey Porter, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. I would go with Mason Graham here.
I agree. Number 6 is the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this was another Shedeur destination early on, but seems the tide has changed. Mel Kiper has the Raiders taking Ashton Genty. Maurice Jones-Drew has the Raiders taking Ashton Genty. But Lance Zierlein has a little different take. He has them taking Jalen Walker.
Do they really need edge?
They've lost quite a bit on defense, linebacker wise. So the Walker thing kind of makes sense.
It makes sense, but I don't think they pass up on Ashton
I don't
Genty.
think you pass on Genty.
Because their running back room right now is Raheem Mostert,
Yeah.
Sincere McCormick, Zamir White, and Dylan
Get
Lube.
over the Sincere McCormick thing.
Sincere
I struggle
McCormick.
with it.
Yeah.
And Dylan Lube.
Well, I mean,
It's got that
I
one
don't
is
know.
I feel like that one's just too easy. It's got to be him.
yeah, but that defense, you lost key guys, Diablo. You lost these guys on defense.
Yes,
That's
they did. They lost a lot of defensive
I
pieces.
see Pete.
They brought
Carroll,
in Devin White.
I see Pete Carroll doing something on the defensive side of the ball.
But you want to know what I see?
Yeah.
I see Pete Carroll handing the ball off to Ashton Genty 30 times a game so
Yeah.
that Geno Smith doesn't go out there and take his shit all over the field.
I think he might look at Ashton Genty and see Marshawn Lynch.
I agree.
Okay.
I think that's
I
a
agree.
possibility. I agree with you. So
I actually don't see that. I
I-
see the kid Hampton is Marshawn Lynch. I mean, he's a monster.
I on the defense thing, I agree
Yeah.
and I disagree. Like I could see he's good with his defense, but remember that whole Legion of Boom and then the recent incarnation of the Seattle defense was built around guys got in like the mid to late rounds. Like Tariq
Right.
Woolen was a first round or fourth rounder. I believe Richard Sherman was a later round pick. Someone has to
Yeah, he's
fact
like
check me on
fifth
that.
round.
Yeah, he was like,
I think Pete Carroll is enough of a talent evaluator to know he can get good defensive contributors. And maybe their defense isn't as far off as we think. When it's healthy, like they've invested resources into this, and you're going to get healthy Max Crosby for the first time in over a year. Who's the kid they drafted from Texas A&M 2 years ago that I wanted the Lions to get? I can't remember his name.
it's not a Landon Roberts, is it?
No.
Edge rusher?
Yeah.
It's not Malcolm Kuntz.
No.
Jonah Lalalu,
No.
Oh,
Tyree Wilson.
yes.
Maybe it's him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
I think that's Genty. I really do. I think he immediately opens up their offense a lot. They're weak at receiver too, in my opinion. I know Jacoby Myers is Jacoby Myers, but they could use receiver. They could use defense.
McMillan would be a nice pick there. to be
McMillan
honest.
would be a
He's that
great
big
pick there.
receiver that they need.
Yes, but I think Genty immediately
Makes them better.
makes them better. You can build the offense around him, and it takes so much pressure off of
You're going
Geno
to see
Smith.
two running backs go in this first round, by the way.
I'm on the same spectrum I'm on with a lot of teams. Like I'm still not sold on Geno Smith, and I
No,
think
I'm not.
Shedeur would absolutely thrive.
I
This would be
agree.
such a good spot for Shedeur.
I agree. And that was the talk. That was the lock, right? Because
I
Genty
will say this: you're going to have a team move up
to take
into this
Shedeur.
first round. Jackson Dart is going in the first round.
He might be. Let's get there.
That's my opinion.
Let's get there. Moving on, the New York Jets. Now, I want to jump all the way down to Maurice Jones-Drew's mock right now. He has Travis Hunter sliding to 7 and the New York Jets taking him.
Excuse me?
Good for him.
Good for him.
I don't think that's happening.
I don't think that's happening either, not in anybody's wildest dreams, because you have to stop and think. Hypothetically, if he's on the board at 6, the Raiders take him,
Oh, yeah.
right?
I don't think
If he's on the board at 5, I think Jacksonville takes him. And if somehow he makes it to New England, I think New England takes him. So I think that's...
Vrabel would take him for sure.
Oh, yeah. I think that's crazy. I don't think there's any possibility there. So moving back to reality, Lance Zierlein has him taking Armand Membu, offensive tackle from Missouri.
He's a monster. I actually thought they were going to take Will Campbell, but okay. Or not Will Campbell. What's that kid from Michigan, the corner?
Will Johnson.
Will Johnson. I think they might take him.
Well, Will Johnson, while we're talking about this, he's had an injury that's kept him out of all of the offseason programming and workouts. So him and I think Josiah Stewart, who the Lions are obsessed with, they did a private workout for teams yesterday, and teams were upset with Will Johnson's speed. They didn't like his speed. They thought he ran like a 4.52 or something
That's
like
a
that.
kiss of death.
Yeah, guess what?
It can.
Guess what? So did Richard Sherman.
Well, I was the annoying Michigan fans on social media countered it with, well, here he is chasing down a guy that's going 23 miles an hour. So it's him fresh off an injury. I don't think speed's a crazy concern.
No, I don't think so either. He's probably not in ball shape yet either.
Yeah, 100%. And
So,
what he
the
lacks,
workout thing is, that's bullshit.
what he lacks in speed, he'll make up. Like, he's the most technologically sound corner I've ever. It's been a while. I won't say ever, since Derek Stingley that I've seen. I think he's more technologically.
There was a lot of shit on Stingley when he was coming out of college. Nobody really was enamored with him, and he's winding up being probably one of the better corners in the league.
Yeah.
Let's jump. Okay, well, we kind of missed this one here. Do you like the Jets taking offensive line?
Yeah, I think they should. I mean, listen,
You got to protect Justin Fields.
you know who's there right now, and it's either going to go defense or it's going to go O-line. I think he's going to go O-line.
Now, because in 2 of these mock drafts, Shedeur Sanders is still on the board. Could you see him becoming a Jet?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm that's not the betting favorite. But if you're asking if I could see it or if we could see it, then yes.
Okay.
Can't rule it out. There's one more name I'd like to float here, especially because they completely dropped the ball on this last year. Who should they have drafted last year, Uncle Sam?
Who's that?
The Jets. There's a right answer. There's a right answer and
Who
only
should
wrong.
they have drafted?
Who should they?
Year?
They went with the tackle from. They went with the tackle from who did they draft last year? Penn State, Olufashanu, right?
Yeah.
Who should they have drafted last year?
Where were they picking again?
I believe like 11, 12, or 13. I'll tell you right now. They picked at. Hold on. 11.
They picked at 11.
Who should they have
I
drafted?
don't even know who was there.
You know exactly who
No,
it is.
I don't.
The person went 2 or 3 picks later, if I remember correctly. Maybe the next pick,
I don't even know.
Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers?
For that
Listen,
reason,
everybody should have been slapped for passing over Brock Bowers.
I think tight end could totally be. It would be Tyler Warren, who it's every draft ranking.
Him and that
Loveland, Colston Loveland.
They're
It's neck and neck.
equally.
It's neck and neck.
They're very good.
You're
both.
getting more of a blocking tight end in Loveland, but Tyler Warren is very good, and I think he.
I've
could
watched a lot of
easily-
tape on him, dude. He's like, you know what it's like? It's like watching who's that kid that's in New Orleans? Taysom Hill,
Taysom
but
Hill.
bigger.
Yeah.
He's a bigger Taysom Hill.
Tight end could be on the table here.
Yeah.
I think that this regime without a quarterback, which if you can consider Justin Fields a quarterback, that's fine. But without a quarterback for that reason, I think this regime is going to lean towards, well, we have the time to fix this. We have the leeway. We're not in any imminent danger. It's a new coach and new GM, and you can make a safe pick in an offensive tackle, and you can go get your quarterback later. You can get your quarterback next year and have the tackle tandem sitting there waiting for him, and that usually leads to the most success. For that reason, I think that, best available at tackle is who, Mibu or whatever?
Mimbu,
Don't think that
Mimbu.
Jalen Walker's off the
I think there's a
list.
chance
here.
Jalen Walker goes earlier.
Listen, he's a monster. You got a defensive minded coach, so
I went
never
Mibu
know.
here. Mibu good.
But yeah, 'cause the only one who has Jalen Walker off the board at this point is Zerline going to the Raiders.
yeah.
Jumping to Carolina, Mel Kiper has them taking Jalen Walker. Zerline has them taking Mykel Williams, and Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Jalen Walker.
I
And
think
for the
Walker
record,
will be gone right there.
I also have Tankathon up, and they have them taking Jalen Walker as well.
I think we're good. It'll be an edge rusher. Best available. Here's Jalen Walker. The small, it'll be Jalen Walker. We don't even have to argue it. I was gonna try and argue it, but I'm not gonna do. Jalen Walker is the best available edge rusher at this point in time. He may not even be here at this point in time.
Yeah.
But that's a good. That'd be a good pick for them.
MJD has the Saints at 9 taking Armand Membu because the Panthers took Jalen Walker. So he has a essentially
This might
swap
be a
there.
serious place for Shedeur Sanders.
Lance Zerline has, and Shedeur is still on the board. He has them taking Jihad Campbell at 9 to New Orleans.
That's really high for a linebacker.
Field Yates has the Saints taking Shedeur Sanders. Okay.
I think Sanders is gone there.
In terms of how the draft plays out, I think it makes sense that Shedeur goes 9. There's certain players that go to certain teams in certain situations that in my eyes look like a disaster. And I don't know why, but Shedeur Sanders going to the New Orleans Saints right there, to me, spells disaster.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either right now. Things have
I don't
changed
think
for me on that. I could see you saying like why it's not a fit. I think this could be. I want to hear your cons first before I get into my pros, because maybe I could see where you're coming from, but I think he's a good fit. But go ahead, you go first.
It doesn't feel like a fit. The Kellen Moore thing is, to me, is the only positive about the Saints. He goes there. He goes to one of the highest regarded.
Well, Derek Carr's not going to be able to play. We've already
I don't
known
think
this.
Derek Carr is going to be able to play. I don't.
No. So
But
they have to upgrade their room.
to me, Jackson Dart feels like more of a fit there than Shedeur Sanders, and that's too high. And I can see the Saints trading back and then maybe making a move for it later. It just doesn't seem like a fit.
Well, I got a team coming to take him later.
Shedeur, to me, feels like he's got to be the Giants guy or the Raiders guy or one of those. The New Orleans thing.
That's the perfect home for him.
No,
man.
I think there's some swagger in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I think
they'll love
that's
him there, dude.
I think he'll be very well received. It's an urban population, and that's what Drew Brees. He was a God guy too, of course. But there's the swagger with Shedeur. It's there in New Orleans. Like that's a really
Who dat?
and
Oh, yeah.
it's a small town as well, so the pressure on him won't be as high as going to one of the New York teams or going to Vegas. There's pressure, but it's a good fan base that he could walk into and embrace. It's a situation. It's a good situation, and you have Kellen Moore who played at a mid-major similar to Shedeur, and then he's been around the block. He was around the block as a backup. Like Kellen Moore's done some good stuff with some quarterbacks, and I can see this is becoming more and more of a fit. Now, I know what you're saying. Like, it doesn't have, that crazy sex appeal, but I think this franchise has the swagger. He's a Southern kid. He played ball in Texas. He initially went to school in Alabama. I think that it's becoming more of a fit by the day, especially with this Derek Carr news. It's not that bad of a situation. They drafted an offensive lineman last year. They drafted the kid from Oregon, Talise Fuaga, if I remember correctly. There's a lot to like about this if it ends up happening.
You got some good players on their
Olave,
offense.
they re-signed Brendan
Yeah.
Cooks, Rashid Shaheed. Kamara
Yeah.
is still there. The Kendre Miller kid is still there.
Telling you, man, that's something he would thrive in, that kind of thing. I really believe that he's probably going to be a Saint.
Well,
They even might have to move up to grab him.
you think so?
I think they could. Yeah. I just think with the Derek Carr news, I mean, what do you do? What do you do if they're that?
I don't know.
I mean,
That's devastating.
another team in here that
Don't
be
forget-
surprised that they want to go after Sanders is Seattle. Don't think that Seattle's out of the quarterback running either.
I think they're out of the quarterback.
I don't think so. I really don't.
Don't forget, Spencer Rattler is still on the depth chart there in New Orleans.
I've been, you know what? I heard the Colts were interested in Shedeur Sanders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at Uncle Sam breaking this news here.
Yep.
Moving on to 10, it's the Chicago Bears. Mel Kiper has them going Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. Lance Zierlein has Ashton Genty falling to the Bears there.
Yep.
And Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Trayvon Henderson, running back from Ohio State. To me, personally, I think they go tight end. I really do. I don't see them going running back here. I see them going tight end. They're going to go the best tight
they
end
signed
available.
Nick Chubb. You have guys there already. They have a solid running back room. I don't think they go running back here.
I don't. They did not sign Nick Chubb. We had this conversation last week. They did not sign Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb went there and worked out. He squatted 550 pounds and he left.
Not bad.
They did not sign Nick Chubb. I wouldn't be
If he's not
shocked.
signed, I am all for the Detroit Lions signing Nick Chubb. What?
You just want somebody to sign.
You know who
Nick
you know who you
Well,
could use Nick Chubb?
Huh?
The Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns could use Nick
Could use
Chubb.
Nick Chubb.
I think the tight end thing is good there. Ben Johnson, you get a 6'6" tight end, you roll him out, and it's your perfect
they have
safety
good tight
blanket.
end there, so I don't.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
get
but
the
what?
elite tight end. That's a good safety blanket for Caleb Williams.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Who
I
needs
think
all
the
the safety
McMillan
blanket
kid
in
would
the world.
thrive there.
Yeah, but I don't think he's there.
What do you mean? Nobody's taken him yet.
Ted McMillan?
Yeah,
He's off the board.
is he?
Jones-Drew has him going to Jacksonville at 5. Zerline has him
We didn't do it though. He's still
No,
on the
we
board
didn't
in
do
our
it.
in
He's
our
still
still on the board.
in our scenario. He's still available. Okay. Listen,
If he's there, you got to take him.
this is why I don't think that's going to happen. Well,
Okay.
it could because he's because he's got 1 and 2. He's got Roma Dunze and he's got
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. They lost Keenan Allen, obviously.
Right.
But there were guys in house too. They love to get the ball to Cole Kmet. I think Ben Johnson's ego this offseason has been driven by I want to do what we did well in Detroit. And that's why he went after Jonah Jackson, and that's why he went after Joe Tooney.
So they want to run the football.
And I also think no, I'm with Sam. I think he's gonna look for his Sam Laporta.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. And realistically,
So you're going to tell me that Sam Laporta is better than Cole Kmet?
yeah, dude, come on.
Yeah,
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
kidding?
yeah, pass catching tight end. The pass catching tight end.
Listen, okay, the
He's a
running
lion
back,
killer, dude. Cole Kmet.
the running back room is not all. It's Swift, Roshan Johnson, and the Travis Homer kid, who actually at points has looked pretty decent. The running back room is not that bad. It's Cole Kmet, Durham Smythe, and whoever the fuck Steven Carlson.
They're gonna get their running back later.
Yeah,
Okay.
They're gonna get their running back later.
because realistically, and I know I know you have very high praises for what was the kid's name from Ohio State?
Travion Henderson.
You have very high
No.
praises for him.
The other one,
I like Hampton. Amari Hampton.
Those guys will be there.
Quinshawn Judkins is the other one.
Those guys will be there. I really think he goes and gets his Sam Laporta. I do. And usually if we have a three-way break like this, Tankathon also has them going Tyler Warren.
Okay. Tyler Warren.
Moving on to San Francisco. Field Yates has them taking Calvin Banks Jr. Lance Zierlein has them taking Calvin Banks Jr. Maurice Jones-Drew, who I don't know how he got a job at NFL Network, he has them taking Mason Graham, who somehow he was still on the board.
Okay.
Tankathon has them taking Will Johnson, corner from Michigan.
This player is going to come in the trenches, whether it's a D end or an offensive tackle. This player is going to be someone that was born in the trenches. My guess is because tackle is a little bit more. Well, no,
Well, Trenton Williams retired, right?
no,
No, but he is
thought
37
he
years
did.
old.
but he's old and he's
37.
he's close.
Yeah.
This could be his replacement. I think that one to me makes all the sense in the world. Brock, you got to protect Purdy. They do it here. They're wafting. They have a waft of rebuild to them. And usually when you're wafting and rebuild, you go offensive line. I think that one makes perfect sense. You get Trent Williams' replacement before he decides to hang it up.
No.
Anybody disagree?
I'm thinking they could go defensive line.
Yeah, it would be edge if they went
Yeah.
defensive line, and I could see it.
Yeah.
The kid from Marshall?
No, I would go Shamar Stewart.
Yeah.
From Texas A&M. I don't think they need the help in the secondary. It's not something that they can't address later. I think they could go get
Well,
a
they
contributor later.
lost their safety, Tafanga.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost quite a few guys, so
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
But you don't
they
need
could
to.
go Will Johnson here.
You don't need to invest heavily in it with their defensive or with their linebacker core. I think it's strong.
Yeah,
they
they
could
lost
go Will
Greenlaw.
Johnson.
They've lost quite a bit there too.
They could. I just think they need. I think they need to get feistier on both sides of the ball in the trenches. So my pick. I wouldn't even go Banks. I would go
Who's that
Josh
D tackle from Oregon?
Connerly.
Who? The D tackle from Oregon.
Harmon.
Yeah. I might even go him.
No, I think it would be edge or offensive tackle. It's one of the outside guys. If it's offensive tackle, I actually think that the kid from Ohio State, Josh Simmons, is a little bit better. I'd be fine with Shamar Stewart here as well, but I can see edge. I could totally see edge at some point here. Am I crazy?
No, I don't think you are. Let's move on to 12. The Dallas Cowboys. Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Matthew Golden, Texas wide receiver. Lance Zierlein has them taking Matthew Golden, Texas wide receiver. Mel Kiper has them taking Matthew Golden, Texas wide receiver.
Okay.
4-3 speed going next to playing opposite of CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, feelings, complaints? Because I believe in at least one of these, Tet McMillan is still on the board, and they have Matthew Golden going above him. Are there complaints with that? Do you disagree with that? Or is the Cowboys taking the Texas wide receiver just too good of a story?
Oh man. Come back to me. Wait, what did we decide on for the Niners?
I'm honest. I'm open to anything. I really do think that they go tackle and replace.
All right, so Calvin Banks, we're gonna take him off the board.
I think so. If it wasn't as unanimous, but I think that's probably a safe pick.
I think the Cowboys can get their running back later.
Yeah, it seems everything seems to be folding that way. That the other two running backs are going to still be there.
And if they like one of the Ohio State, I know you like Omarion Hampton. If they like him or one of the Ohio State guys, like maybe they can get him later. At this point, you're so invested in. CeeDee Lamb got a contract, right? He got paid before the year last year.
Yep.
At this point, you're so invested in Dak that you need to do everything you can to ensure his survival. And I think Tet McMillan would be a really good pickup for them. You imagine waiting till 11 to get one of the best receivers college football's had in the last couple of years. That's a pretty good get.
So
And maybe they might jump towards that.
between Matthew Golden and Ted McMillan, you're gonna.
McMillan.
So the only one that still has him on the board is
Maurice
the Mel
Jones-Drew.
Kiper one,
Oh, okay.
and he has them going with Matthew Golden over Ted McMillan.
That would be hometown bias. If McMillan isn't already gone at this point in time, this is
Yeah.
where he goes. He might even be gone by then.
In
He's
the other
too
two
good.
drafts, they do have him gone, and that's why they have him taking Matthew Golden. But
Yeah.
other than that,
We don't in our draft.
we
Okay.
don't. Miami.
This is Will Johnson. With the Jalen Ramsey rumors that came out today, this is
Yeah, I seen that.
At 13, we have a mixed bag here. Maurice Jones-Drew has them going with Malachi Starks, safety from Georgia. His reasons are after losing Javon Holland, they need a physical playmaker. Zerline has them going with Kenneth Grant, Michigan defensive tackle.
Okay.
He says that defensive line is the Dolphins' one must roster move. Field Yates has them going Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. And because there's three other ones, Tankathon has them taking Calvin Banks. Four
Well,
names.
I'm gonna say Will Johnson there, especially like he said with that shit with Jalen Ramsey
The
today.
possibility of Ramsey getting traded.
Yeah.
But the thing is they don't even have a number 2 corner. So even if they didn't trade Ramsey, it still makes sense for them to take a corner there. If you look right now at the depth chart, it's Storm Duck is playing opposite Jalen Ramsey.
That's impressive.
Storm Duck. Yeah. But the reports are all that the Dolphins are currently trying to trade Ramsey. It has moved on from possibility to trying to trade Ramsey. So, what? What's the problem? Oh, okay. Are you staring at Bruce's feet right now?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the fuck he's doing there.
What? Were his toes curling underneath the desk
I don't know
there?
What he's doing
Oh,
there.
God.
Rubbing one out.
This way, because I don't want to sit that way.
Maybe he's rubbing one out.
Okay.
Hand on my phone.
We got the Colts on the clock. And this one is interesting.
Shador Sanders.
So, there are 2 mock drafts who have not had a tight end go yet, and Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Tyler Warren. Lance Zerline also has them taking Tyler Warren.
He's already
Mel-
gone off our board.
Mel Kiper has them taking Colston Loveland.
The Colts haven't had a tight end since Ben Utecht. Well, if you consider Kobe Fleener a tight end.
What about Mo Alley Cox?
Didn't he just resign?
I think he did. And Tankathon also has them taking Colston Loveland. So, best tight end available?
Yeah.
Best tight end available.
I think that'd be a get for them.
I agree.
Someone else I could see sneaking in here is Jihad Campbell from Alabama.
Yeah, they lost
lacking.
EJ Speed.
They lost EJ Speed. They lost the guy that's coming to the Lions as well. What's his name?
Stewart?
Yeah,
Grant Stewart.
Grant Stewart. I could see them maybe considering it, but I tell you that same drill. Like you have a lot invested in Anthony Richardson, and go get him a piece.
Mo Alley Cox did resign, but somehow he is now 3rd on the depth chart at tight end behind Drew Ogletree and Will Mallory.
Okay.
Whoever the fuck they are. This is best tight end available.
Okay.
I think that one's a no-brainer. Moving on to 15, it's Atlanta.
Atlanta only has 5 picks in this draft.
It's thin for them, to say the least. Atlanta,
Edge rusher.
Field Yates has them taking Mike Green, the edge rusher from Marshall.
Okay.
Lance Zerline has them taking Will Johnson, corner from Atlanta,
He's already
or
gone.
from Michigan. And ours, he is already gone. Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall.
I think there's two edge rushers that are better than Mike Green that are available right now. And the one I'm adamant about is the one that I almost gave to Dallas.
Shamar Stewart.
Shamar Stewart. That's who I would go with here. Is Shamar Stewart.
Do you
I
think,
think Mikael Williams too.
Is all I would put him over
That's-
Mike Green, and he's
I would.
available.
Tankathon has them taking Mikael Williams? So it's edge rusher. So between these
Mike
three,
Green's production last year was crazy. So this is why you got these teams interested in him. What do you have? 18 sacks last year?
he led the FBS with 17 sacks.
17. That's undeniable that he can rush the passer. You know he can do it.
So I guess the question that we have to answer here is we still have all three available, correct?
Yeah.
We have all three of those names available.
Between those three, Mikael Williams, Mike Green, and
Shamar Stewart.
Shamar Stewart, who goes?
I
Who fits in Atlanta?
Mikael Williams is from
Georgia.
Georgia and went to Georgia, and is a prototypical edge rusher. He's not
6'5",
undersized.
260. He's.
Yeah,
I think he
what they
goes
need.
there.
Then that's who we have going. We're going to agree with Tankathon here, and we are going to go Mikael Williams at 15.
The Shamar Stewart guy is really cute. He has the size. He has all that shit. The problem with him,
Don't say production.
can't get fucking home, dude. How many sacks did he have last year? Answer your question.
Let me look real quick.
Huh?
I will tell you right
Go ahead.
now.
Go look. I can
He
tell
had
you right now.
1.5 sacks.
There you go.
There you go. So guess what? I don't know about you, but
All of these guys,
I'm not arguing.
all of these guys who we are talking about go within the next 4 or 5 picks.
right.
So, moving on to Arizona. What does Arizona need? Because you especially were very high on them going into
They
last
need
year.
receiver. They need somebody opposite. What's his name? The kid.
Marvin
that's-
Harrison.
Yes, they need somebody opposite him. You got a good tight end.
You got what the probably, if not the best, number 2
Right.
tight end.
I mean, they need a guy opposite of him.
So you don't think Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, or Zay Jones are the answer?
No,
Those are the wide receivers there besides Marvin
it's
Harrison.
either that or they go O-line. I think O-line. They got to protect Kyler Murray. I mean, it's getting dumbfounded how this guy gets beat up every year.
Do we still have Jihad
We do.
Jihad Campbell is still on our board. Tankathon has Arizona taking Jihad Campbell.
Okay.
Mel Kiper has him taking Jihad Barron, corner out of Texas.
That's my
Wouldn't be
pick.
a bad pick.
That's my pick there.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Their
next
secondary.
the next phase of help for them and their defense is in the secondary.
Lance Zierlein has them taking Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama.
That's not a bad pick.
Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Calvin Banks, who obviously fell in his.
Yeah.
We already have Calvin Banks off the board.
Correct.
So that one's kind of out. So if we're
What
taking
do you think, Booker?
Tyler Booker,
Do you
Jihad
think
Barron,
they're taking the safety.
and we still have Jihad Campbell on our board as well.
No, I think Jade Barron. I think they're
Okay.
going to go corner here. This is their defensive depth chart because I could see them going edge rusher here as well.
God, Sean Murphy Bunting is the starting corner.
Yeah. That's all you need to know. Sean Murphy Bunting, and then
Starling Thomas.
Max Melton, who I believe was a rookie out of Rutgers last
Yep.
year, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
Yep.
Starling Thomas from Detroit is second on the depth chart.
He actually played really well last year for them. He was here in training camp.
I think, realistically, after seeing that, it's got to be corner.
Yeah.
It's got to be corner because
I could see D end. They have Darius Robinson Robinson, who they took last year for the guy that we wanted from Missouri, who's from Detroit, by the way. From there, it looks like in their defense they're gonna run Josh Sweat at linebacker, so he's gonna be more of a Mike,
Yeah.
more of a Sam, and then Calais Campbell signed there. Apparently, I had no
yes,
idea.
he did. Yep.
You need to do a little bit better than that. So this could also be a home for Shamar Stewart, but they might need a little bit more help at corner, in which case I'm going with Jade Barron.
We got to give a shout out to Dante Stills, who is on the Cardinals depth chart still.
Yeah.
He is the 4th left defensive end, but he is still on the depth chart. So shout out to him.
He played pretty well last year.
Yeah. 17th pick. Cincinnati Bengals. So
Got to replace Hubbard.
Hubbard.
Yeah, and eventually
Stewart.
Trey Hendrickson. This is Shamar Stewart.
Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Shamar Stewart. Lance Zierlein has them taking Mike Green. Field Yates has them taking Walter Nolan, defensive tackle from Ole Miss.
I don't hate that, to be honest with you. I think he's good.
And Tankathon has them taking Shamar Stewart.
I gave them Shamar Stewart.
Stewart.
I think that realistically, that solves your Hubbard problem.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out
All the other problems.
yeah, all the other the slope of other problems. But if Cincinnati does anything other than take defense, then take edge rusher. Let's just say it. Take edge rusher. Pack them in now.
Yeah.
Pack them in now. 18, we have Seattle. This is an interesting pick. What if you had to pick what Seattle should do? What would it be? What do you?
I'm pulling out their depth chart.
I mean, you got a defensive coach there.
Got a defensive coach. You do. But is the defense really their issue?
No.
It's not.
No, it isn't.
I think personnel-wise on defense, they're not that bad. They've got names. I mean, realistically, I think your edge rushers, you're pretty good.
No, I got a guy that I like here.
Campbell. Jahad Campbell there. They need a linebacker there.
Yep.
Maurice Jones-Drew has them going Tyler Booker. Lance Zierlein has them getting Tet McMillan at 18.
That could be, hey, you know what? They need receiver now that, what's his name's gone? Metcalf.
Mel Kiper has them going with Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. Tankathon has them going with Gray Zabel as well.
I don't hate Booker here. I think I would personally put Booker in terms of interior lineman. I'd put him higher. I could see. Am I
Actually,
crazy to think
that
we need a
one kid
linebacker?
tore up the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, and the Zabel kid.
Every bowl.
He showed he could play with anybody.
I will say, if you look at their offensive line, there's not all that much there.
They're not that bad. They've drafted pretty well. Carroll spent the last 3 years improving that offensive line over there.
Tyrese Knight at linebacker. I don't know.
I'm going with Booker here.
You are.
Yeah.
Why? Because
The-
you were
the
pretty
runner-up-
excited about linebacker.
The runner-up is Jihad Campbell because just looking at their depth chart. It's probably their top need is interior line. Remember they came here last year and they were missing 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
linemen.
Yeah.
I think it's very possible.
Both of their tackles were out.
And the whole Sam Darnold experience doesn't work if they can't protect him. And
Right.
Booker is the best. The people they don't overvalue because Zabel's a good player, but people are placing a high value on Zabel because he's a swing. He's a swing player. He could play 5 positions on the offensive line if you wanted him to. He's probably the best true center in the draft. Honestly, there's a chance the Lions end up with Zabel. We'll talk about that if we.
Yeah, they really like him. I know they're real high on him.
I'm gonna go with Booker here.
Okay.
I think Booker
If he's
is
there,
the best.
if Zabel's there.
Yeah, you're talking about at 28.
Yeah, I think he could be gone before that.
Tampa Bay at 19. Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Jahad Campbell. Lance Zierlein has them taking Shamar Stewart. Field Yates has them taking Nick Emanwari, safety from South Carolina.
I like him.
And Tankathon has them going Mike Green, edge from Marshall. So 4 different names.
I'm
I'd
fine
say
with
Emanwari.
I'm fine with Green or Campbell going here. And they've shown they don't have an aversion to take, like, Mike Green isn't necessarily undersized. I believe he's 6'3", if I remember correctly. They've shown that they have a penchant for they don't mind fixing their defense. They don't mind taking defensive guys. and they always make do with what they have offensively. I like Green or Campbell here.
You want to know why I'm going to say they're going to take Campbell? Because they already have somebody named Mike Green on their depth chart. Behind Kalijah Cansey is a Mike Green on their depth chart. I think they need to go linebacker here. Realistically, you're not terrible on the ends. I linebacker here makes sense.
I
Jihad
thought
Campbell
safety
makes
would
sense.
make sense there.
Well, you still have Jordan Whitehead. You still have Antoine Winfield. They have some guys behind them. Eisen had a lot of playing time last year and actually looked pretty good. Like, I think you go linebacker.
I'm fine. I could live with Jihad Campbell here.
Okay, this is where this gets interesting. Now we're at 20, and the Denver Broncos are up. And this was the former home of Ashton Genty for a long time, till he started going up. I believe this is our first four-way. Everybody agrees on who goes here. Any guesses as to who it is? All four of our analysts agree. Uncle Sam, do you know who it
I
is?
have no idea.
Zolo, do you know who it is?
What position?
Running back.
And it's
Omarion?
someone that's still available on the board. Our board, obviously.
Yes.
Is this Omarion Hampton?
This is Amarion Hampton. Big tackle breaking rusher who will make the most of his money late in the season. A Mark Ingram type back that Sean Payton utilized to great success during his time in New Orleans.
There you go.
Any agreements, disagreements?
I agree. Get that fifth-year option on him, too.
I disagree. I think it would be weird to take a running back here, but he's the best available player at a position of need. The only argument I have is Matthew Golden, if they take a receiver here, is great value at 20 at this
We
point.
still got McMillan on the board here, too.
No, I thought we got rid of Ted McMillan.
No.
We still have the other guy on the board. Luther Burden should still be on the board. We sent McMillan to Dallas.
Okay.
I'll let you guys decide between Golden and Amarion Hampton.
Okay.
I'd say Hampton because I know he likes to run the football. That's his thing, and that's what makes his offense click. So I'm going to say that.
The running back room there is Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, Tyler Batty, and Blake Watson.
There you go.
I think that this is a running back pick here. Realistically, that Evan Ingram signing for Denver, I think matters a little bit more than anybody thinks.
Yeah.
And between Sutton and Marvin Mims, who had some great moments last year, and they're young at wide receiver outside of Sutton, like
Yeah.
the Devon Vele kid, he has promise. And again, the way that this is starting to feel out, the second round is going to be the wide receiver round. I think they go get their running back here. I think they get the future of
Yeah.
the franchise. I think there's a lot of merit to what they said, to what Mel Kiper said about him wanting a Mark Ingram type. And I think that's Hampton. So I would say we go Hampton there. 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Jackson Dart moves up.
That'd be a hell of a get for them.
Jackson Dart.
Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Jackson Dart at pick 21. Lance Zierlein has the Rams trading up to this pick and taking Jahade Barron, the corner.
Okay.
Mel Kiper has them taking Derek Harmon, defensive tackle from Oregon.
I don't hate that.
And Tankathon has them taking Walter Nolan, defensive lineman from Ole Miss. I think it's Jackson Dart.
I'm fine with Jackson Dart. I think this is something, and the Steelers have done this many times over the last couple of years. I think this is someone they can come back and trade for.
What, you're saying trade down here?
Yeah, no, I think they can go with another player and then trade back up with the second round, like towards the end of the first round to go get
Yeah.
Jackson Dart. And I think a lot of teams might be doing that.
That's what I think is going to happen too.
The Steelers have been bit in the ass by taking like one of these like middle tier quarterbacks, and even if we think Jackson Dart's going to be really good, which I think he could be, the Steelers have been bit doing this before. Like they did it with Kenny Pickett, right?
They haven't been able to replace Roethlisberger
No,
in a lot of years.
no. That was my point last week. I'm if you guys want to go Jackson Dart, I'm fine. If they do go D line interior, Kenneth Grant over Nolan or Connerly. Over Nolan
Harmon.
or Harmon. But I'm fine with Jackson Dart if you guys want to do that.
Do you think they, in your heart of hearts, do you think they
I
take
don't think
Jackson
they're
Dart?
taking Dart there. I think he's right.
They have no quarterback.
They don't
They're
have a
They're
quarterback.
going to end up with Dart at some point. It might not be here.
I got them moving back up to grab him.
Yeah, I can see that, and I can see that scenario holding for a lot of teams this year.
Yeah.
That don't quite have that
Whoever's
premium value.
sitting in that 28, 29, 30 range is going to have a real opportunity. I personally think the Lions are going to trade back. That's my opinion.
If there's guys
Yeah,
that
'cause
they
I
like
think
that
they're-
aren't there, I think they're
Yes.
going to trade back as well. I agree with you.
So you don't think that they just push the panic button and take Jackson?
No, not at. I think it's too early.
I think he might end up there, and this holds true with Shador. I think there's going to be teams that if these guys start slipping, it's for a reason, and then someone's going to climb back to go for them. I
do-
can still see both of them going in the first
I
round.
do want to point out that in one of our mock drafts, Shador Sanders is still on the board.
Who's?
Who?
Maurice Jones-Drew, obviously.
Hold on, let me figure this one out. It is not Maurice Jones-Drew. And it is not
Kuiper?
Whoa. It is not Kuiper. It is Lance Zerline.
A lot of like the heavy duty football evaluators do not like Shador Sanders.
No, they don't. They don't.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
Yeah, you see the tape. He's making the throw with quarterbacks. Like you're looking at a guy make the throws.
The only thing I say bad about him is this. I think he hangs onto the ball too long. He takes a lot of unnecessary sacks and shit.
Could be a big problem.
Yeah. At the next level, you know that'll be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Pittsburgh, we have them going with. I forgot.
Let's go Kenneth Grant. Can
Kenneth
we go?
Grant.
Can we go Kenneth?
I
Yeah,
Grant?
I'm
agree
good
with
with
that.
Kenneth
Yep.
Grant there.
Okay, next up, 22, the Los Angeles Chargers. What do you think the Chargers do here?
He's going to be in bad shape if this run on D lineman and the run on. We've hammered home all four of their main positions of need. I'll bet he'll be bent out of shape if Colston Loveland isn't there. If Colston Loveland's there,
He's taken.
that's the pick.
So Maurice
we just have
Jones-
him gone.
Maurice Jones-Drew has the Chargers taking Colston Loveland. Lance Zerline has the Chargers taking Colston Loveland. Mel Kiper has them taking Emeka Ibuke.
I don't hate that.
And
I think that's a great
Tankathon has
pick.
them taking Matthew Golden.
My only, I like Ibuka more than Golden, but everyone else likes Golden more. So I think if it's a receiver, it would be Golden
I
here.
think so.
Listen.
Yeah, because he checks off more boxes for them. They need a counter. They need a counter to Lad McConkey, who's that
Right.
slot guy. Like they need the downfield guy, which would be Matthew Golden's the speed guy. I think that's why he fits a little more. Now, all that being said, I think they go with Mike Green.
Whoa.
Yeah. Pass rusher.
I think they get
is
their
Colston
Boza.
Loveland still on our board?
He's not. No.
Okay. If Colston Loveland is on the board, they are taking him.
Yeah.
Right.
They're going to take him. You agree with this or disagree?
No, I agree with it.
You think defensive end?
Well, yeah, they got to replace Bosa. So,
I didn't think of it that way.
yeah.
That's true.
That's why. That's why.
And you think Mike Green is that guy? He's a Harbaugh guy.
I think Mike Green's the best edge rusher available, and he's very good. I mean, I think he checks. He's like the gritty, hard nosed, like a football player, and that is what Jim Harbaugh likes. He's just the best D end available. That's
I will
what-
say at defensive end right now, they're pretty thin. On the left side, there's one name, and it's Scott Matlock. And on the right side, it's Deshaun Hand and Justin Igabui.
Yeah. Well,
So
Mike Green.
Mike Green. I'm good with that pick. The Green Bay Packers. A pick that for Lions fans actually kind of matters a little bit. Maurice Jones-Drew has them going Will Johnson, Michigan corner. Lance Zierlein has them taking Siobhan Revel Jr., corner from East Carolina.
Yeah.
He's good. I don't know why there's a reason he's slipping, and I don't know why, because he might be better than any corner in this draft, not named Will Johnson and Travis Hunter. He might be the best one. There's a reason, though. There's a reason that this is happening. I can't remember what it is. It might have been a foot, or let me look.
Well, Tankathon has Green Bay going corner as well, and Jahade Barron. That's the
I don't
only
hate that.
that's the only board that he is still available on. And Field Yates is them taking Shamar Stewart.
You know, they already got a lot vested in their defensive line. I don't see that.
I don't either.
I don't see that.
I see them going.
No, edge rusher is considered a need for them.
Really?
Yeah,
Even
corner.
with what they've invested in edge rushers over the last.
Yeah.
Really?
It is, because they need to get younger there. They're not going to pick up the what's his face, Trayvon. What's Walker? What's his name?
Quay Walker.
Quay Walker's. In fact, didn't they already move on from him?
No.
No, he's
Quay
there.
Walker.
They're not picking up his option though,
His 5th year?
from what I understand.
Huh.
Someone has to fact check me on that. You guys are going to call me crazy. I think this is a wide receiver. I think this is Matthew Golden.
Really?
Oh,
I do, yeah.
With the slew of receivers they have there already?
I don't think they think any of those receivers are number one receivers.
Wow.
I think you can take a little bit of pressure off of what's his face, Jaden
Love.
Reed, by putting him exclusively in that Debo slot position, and I think it'll only help your Watsons, and I think it'll only help whoever they do decide to keep, because they cannot keep all those guys either. By the way, they just have a bunch of mid-tier wide receivers. They have like a bunch of middle-of-the-road guys.
Okay.
And I think that's why that's why Jordan Love's growth was kind of stunted last year a little bit, is because no guy emerged,
I
especially
thought
in the
just
back
because
half
you
of
can't
the
get
year.
them all on the field at the fucking same time because they're always
that
hurt.
doesn't help. That
Yeah.
doesn't help. Yeah, I think it's about time they invest. Well, they got drafted a tackle last year, but I think receiver would be a good investment for them.
it's kind of up in the air. They have not made a decision yet on his 5th-year option.
Got it.
So we're going wide receiver.
Well, you guys can make
Yeah.
a case for anyone else. The best players left on my board, real quick, are. Did I give Josh Simmons to someone from Ohio State?
No.
They're not going to draft a tackle. The safeties, Emin Worry and Starks, Matthew Golden, Derek Harmon.
Who's best corner available?
Best corner available for me
That kid that we just talked about.
is going to be. We gave Jahdae Barron to someone, right?
Yeah.
Best corner available for me on the list I'm looking at. It's Maxwell Hairston, who the Lions have talked to a couple times. Trey Amos is up there. I can see Revel happening. A lot of people have first-round grades on Revel. There was an issue with him. That's
The
all.
only reason why I think you got to make a case for corner here is because they don't have anybody. It's Jair Alexander and the punt returner Keyshawn Nixon.
Okay.
And I mean, outside of that, it's a bunch of names that I haven't heard: Carrington Valentine, Isaiah Dunn, and Kamal Hayden. I don't know, because I do agree with Zolo in the fact that I don't think they think any of their receivers are number one guys.
They're gonna trade up for a corner. They're gonna trade into the top 20 for a corner.
You think so?
I do, because they're not gonna like the names that are here. For me, if it's a choice between Hairston and Revel, I'm going with Revel. And maybe they'll do that because they can afford to do that. I believe, like, including on one of the boards I'm looking at, I believe most people are going to have Hairston ranked after those guys that we've already given up on, which is Will Johnson, Travis Hunter, and Jahdae Barron. I think Maxwell Hairston's going to be the 4th corner taken in this draft.
I think we go Revel.
I'm fine with it.
in my heart, I think it's going to be a
that.
corner there.
I'm fine with it.
And I think we're not going to trade around all that much here. I think that's it. But I agree with Zola. I could see them trading up there. Just like I could see, and we talked about, who's the last thing we talked about trading up?
The Steelers for
I think the
corner.
Steelers
Trade
trade
back.
up.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see both of those possibly trade up for a corner. So next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings.
This is going to play perfectly right into their hands. I would say safety is a big need, and there's 2 safeties still left on the board at the moment.
So Tankathon has Minnesota taking Malachi Starks.
Yep.
Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Nick Amanwari. Mel Kiper has them taking guard Donovan Jackson. Lance Zierlein has the Cleveland Browns trading back into the first round with Minnesota, and at pick 24 taking quarterback Shadur Sanders.
Shadur.
So that means if we're going off of this mock,
There's a reason for that, by the way. The Vikings only have 4 total picks in the draft.
yeah, so they are saying essentially that they'd give Minnesota 33 and their third to trade back in to draft Shadur at 24 after having taken Abdul Carter at 2. Okay. Hypothetically, if we use the term Philadelphia Eagles instead of Cleveland Browns, that would make sense because they would actually do that. I don't think Cleveland ain't got the
juice.
they don't have the juice. It just won't happen for them.
Yeah, but they have the
They have
have
the
the
capital.
capital
Absolutely.
to do it.
The other thing is, what has to go wrong for Shadur
Shedeur to
Sanders
drop all the way there?
to be
Yeah.
there at 24?
It's possible. Even like if you're looking at a big board, even Cam Ward isn't considered a top 10 pick. You're
No.
drafting for position of need. So it's very possible for Shadur to have a later first round grade on him. Like I think that's normal. It's just a matter of who needs a quarterback sooner. That's what it comes down to. Are you drafting for position of need, or are you drafting best player available? I think
Might even
different
see
teams.
The Giants trade back up.
100%. There's a slew of teams that if Shadur makes it to 20, there's a slew of teams that are going to be really excited to go
Raiders?
back and get him. Yeah, exactly. There's a
Raiders
ton
could
of
move back
teams.
up.
What do you think the likelihood of that happening is?
A lot. I think
Possible.
it's
Very.
more. I think it's more likely that Shadur slips. Same with Jackson Dart, and teams trade up to go get quarterback needy teams.
Yeah.
Trade into the back half of the first round to go get them. I think that's more likely than those guys going. I think a lot of teams, if
Kansas
they're
City,
smart,
Philadelphia's, all these teams
It's-
are at the end of the draft.
especially in this era where there's now, like we talked about it last week, there's a lack of faith in first round quarterbacks. Like you can hide behind, well, we got him later in the first round. We don't have to start him off the bat. We can let him marinate. We thought he was a
Right.
You know, I think that's totally in the realm of possibility.
So, taking that trade out of it,
Starks, Malachi.
you think they're going safety.
They're going
You think they're
safety.
going safety.
They're going the safety.
You think it's Starks over Emmett.
Harrison Smith
Yeah.
can't play forever.
Okay,
Starks.
understood. 25, we have the Houston Texans.
Matthew Golden.
who were a bit of a disappointment last year.
Matthew Golden.
This is wild to me, what's unfolding in our drafts here. I agree with you. At 25, Tankathon has them taking Josh Simmons. Lance Zierlein has them taking Donovan Jackson. Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Josh Simmons. The only one that has them going wide receiver is Field Yates has them taking Tet McMillan, who fell all the way to Houston at 25.
That'd be a dream scenario for them. If you guys went Josh Simmons here, I'd be fine. They traded.
Gas mask.
Yeah.
Gas mask.
What's his
Yeah.
name?
Yeah.
Damn it! Laramie Tunsil.
They traded Tunsil, and this was an issue last year. Is offensive line protection. It'd be tough to go from him, like to come in and say Josh Simmons being the guy. And Ohio State's kind of struggled with these offensive linemen over the last couple of years because they're in more of a mobile system. But hey, what better? I mean, he protected for Stroud before, so he could easily do it again. At some point, I think they're going to need a receiver. I think Golden's too good to pass up. I'm fine with either of these guys here. I'm fine. Either any. I'll let you guys decide. Simmons would be my pick if they went offensive line here. Their top needs are tackle and interior lineman. I just think Matthew Golden is just such a good fit for them with Tank Dell out, with Diggs gone. Like I think that's
Right.
You know, you can go get. There's depth at at tackle and guard in this draft in the second round for them to go
I'm
get
going
a
to say
guy.
Golden.
I'll go with it. I'll go with it.
Sexy pick.
It would not shock. This is the thing, and there's the only reason why I would just say I would question it that they would go wide receiver here instead of waiting for 2 is because wide receiver, we haven't gone heavy on wide receiver at all.
Right.
I really think there's a possibility it does play out that way where wide receiver doesn't go heavy. And I know, don't laugh at me, but they got Christian Kirk.
Okay.
Don't
Well, yeah,
laugh
that
at me.
could
got
make them
Christian Kirk.
that
That
could
could
make
make
them
them take
defer.
Simmons.
That can make them defer to the second round.
That's
And there's
the
some
only
names.
reason why I'm saying
There's going to be some names, but at this point, like if Golden and Luther Burden are still sitting here, like I think there's a very good chance. I think there's a very.
Well,
What are your mocks? Your
I
mocks have
think
been
if they're
taking
not
Simmons.
taken here, they're
Oh,
gonna
you
be
said
taking
Simmons and Jackson,
Simmons.
Johnson, Landon Jackson,
Donovan Jackson,
Jackson.
Ted McMillan, who I can't imagine being there.
I'm
And then Simmons.
fine with going Simmons here. I'm fine with that.
But I will,
for that reason.
And the other reason why I'm saying this is because in every single one of these mock drafts, there is not, from this point forward, I'm double checking to make sure I'm not wrong here, but a wide receiver does not come off the board. There's one that has Buffalo taking a receiver. One. Other than that, there's no other wide
If
receiver that comes
Buffalo
off our
taking a
board.
receiver? I don't believe that.
Well, we'll get there. But
Yeah.
I really think, because like Zolo just said, last year, what did the second round start off like last year?
The second, it was receivers.
It was that
Lab McConkey was up there.
fucking wild
Yeah,
run
yeah.
of receiver. I'm pulling it up right now.
Keon Coleman was
Keon
33.
Lad McConkey, the Rukaroro, Johnny Newton, Jalen Polk, Andre Sweat. The second round was dominated by receiver. Adonai Mitchell. I don't know. And then who went at 31? Was that Worthy?
Yeah,
Or
Worthy.
Leggett, Pearsall.
Leggett, yep.
Worthy went 28. Pearsall went 31. Leggett went 32.
There was a run on wide receivers because I think the Lions would have
Yeah.
looked that way as well had there been one, but there wasn't.
Because the Chiefs traded up to 28. And then Carolina traded back in
Correct.
to get Leggett. I don't know. To me, I feel like that's what happens because I just don't see it.
Let's go Simmons here.
No, but
Okay.
realistically, if you guys both think that if he's there, they're going to take him. Again, he's a Texas guy, Houston.
I think he's right. I think they think that if they have to, they could pop that in the second round. I
Receiver?
don't see that. Yeah.
Well, then you got to go
They need to bolster that offensive line. They
best
got fucking
offensive
Stroud
lineman
killed last
available.
year.
And who do we believe that is? Do you?
Simmons.
It is.
Simmons.
Okay. So next up, we have. Go figure. There's two teams that have this pick being traded. 26. It's Los Angeles. Mel Kiper has them taking Maxwell Harrison, corner from Kentucky. Tankathon has them taking Josh Cornerly, tackle from Oregon. Lance Zierlein has the Steelers trading for this pick and taking Derek Harmon.
I like Hairston here. I think it's a corner.
Yeah.
And Maurice Jones-Drew has them taking Donovan Izaraku.
From Boston College.
Yes.
I don't think they need defensive end. I don't
Not
think
with
that's-
Fisk,
that's what-
Turner, Young, Verse. They're not
No.
going to do that.
No.
I agree. They need to go for corner help. Let's make this one easy and go with.
They might even need to go receiver here.
I cannot for the
It's-
life of me.
It'll be on the table, but I think they're going to
Yeah.
go get one later because
I mean,
they
they got
have their
these guys
dogs. They have their
here.
horses. Remember, they're the ones that selected Cooper Kupp in the later
Right.
rounds. They're the ones that selected Puka Nakua in the later rounds.
Yeah.
So, but it's totally a need. It's totally a need. The only factor is how good is Devontae Adams and how much time he has
Right.
left.
Right.
And I think that'll play into how early they take a receiver. And they could, like that, again, Golden still sitting there. I think it's very possible. But
Tutu Atwell, baby. Jordan Whittington. Okay. Then we have at 27 the Ravens. Anything popping in anybody's head with this
The
pick?
McMillan kid.
Okay. Maurice Jones-Drew has them going James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee.
Okay.
Which, hypothetically, let's say that Thibodeau trade happens, you can wipe that pick out.
Well, that's maybe. I wouldn't count on that.
You want to know something about that Thibodeau trade feels real.
I don't know.
Do you agree with that or no?
If they take Abdul Carter, then yeah. Because you just can't you can't be sitting on 3 first-round defensive ends. You just can't. You got it. You need to start getting something for your assets at that point.
Do we still have Emanwari available?
Yeah. And safeties for sure. The 3 biggest needs I'm showing for them are edge, safety, and interior offensive line. They're probably still looking at replacing Patrick Queen in that like the Sam role.
Right.
So I could see edge totally being an issue. Did they lose an interior guy? Am I making that up? They didn't lose Madubuike, right? No, they signed him.
No, they signed him. Was it shit. They did lose somebody.
Queen last year.
It was Queen last year. Hold on. Was it
Yeah, but they replaced him. They got.
hold on.
They took the linebacker last year. to
Madubuike,
replace him.
Travis Jones, Broderick.
And I can't remember who you're
Randall
talking
Way.
about.
Ojabo, Trenton Simpson. I don't
Trenton
know.
Simpson. They took him last year.
Okay, Zerline has them going Emanwari, Maurice Jones-Drew, Pierce, obviously.
That's a nice little duel back there. putting him
Yates
with,
has them going Malachi Starks, and Tankathon has them going Emanwari.
Okay.
You got Emanwari, and you have Kyle Hamilton,
They're the biggest safeties in the league.
the
both
2
of them.
biggest safeties in the league.
They're both 6'4".
I think
they
it's a
run like
no-brainer.
Yeah.
deer.
Yep. I think that's
They've
a
never had an aversion to taking DBs in the first
No.
round. That's kind of their deal. They did it last year as well.
right.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
And the year
shock.
before, they did it 2 years ago. They took Kyle Hamilton 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Next up, at pick 28, we have the Detroit Lions on the board. Zolo, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this pick.
Matthew Golden is still my best player available, and he has been for a long time, and they've talked to him, which is crazy, and it would totally play into that whole theory of trading JMO at this point. I'll be honest, if this is the board that I'm looking at, and I will give you the top names available at my board. The top name is Golden at 15. Derek Harmon is still sitting there at 16. Michael Williams, who I would love, is sitting there for 21. Everyone's obsessed with Donovan Izaraku at 22. Josh Connerly is still there at 23. And I believe, did we give Tyler Booker to anyone yet or no? I don't think we did, right? Oh, no, maybe we did. We
Yeah,
did.
we
We
did.
did a long time ago.
Zabel's there.
Yeah,
I know the Lions really like him.
Zabel's there. And here's the thing with Zabel. If you have issues next year, this is why I like him more and more, even though I really want an edge rusher here. Zabel's a gamer. He checks off a lot of boxes. He is a true center. He's listed in most sites as a center. Centers are high IQ players. The last time they took a center high, it worked out. It seems to work. In the meantime, he has the size and the ability to play the other 4 spots on the field. If things don't work out this year with Graham Glasgow, you can plug Zabel in with Mahogany and with Ragnow. And he's like, he checks off a lot of boxes right now, and you also won't have to worry about center in the future or guard in the future, which guards are easier to get than centers. You won't have to worry about that going forward. I didn't like this until a week or 2 ago. I did not like this. I want an edge rusher. I'm adamant to get an edge rusher, but it just doesn't seem like they are thinking the same way. I think they like a lot of names later in the draft. I'm fine with trading out here. That would be totally sexy to me if you can go get another second or another third. This is where you fleece a team that might want Jackson Dart. I'd be fine with it. But the names, I will let you guys pick from these names. Matthew Golden, who I'm not keen on a receiver, even despite recent events. Zabel, Harmon, James Pierce is still sitting here. And then on top of that, wait, did we already get rid of him? Did we get rid of the other Georgia? Or is he listed as a linebacker? He might be. The other Georgia edge rusher.
Michael Williams.
Yeah, did we get rid of him somewhere? We did.
Did we? I don't think we did.
No, we had to have.
Yeah, we did.
We did to Atlanta. we were down to Mikael Williams and Green for Atlanta, and we went there. There's gonna be a player that I like. I'm fine, but because there's multiple players that I like at multiple different positions, at this point, I would give like, who needs a quarterback? Like if Cleveland does end up going Travis Hunter, call them at 33 and be like, yo, Jackson Dart's still sitting there. Or if Shadur's still sitting there, they're still there. The Giants, same drill. Call one of those teams and try and get some assets. Try and have them flip up. And then who knows? Maybe you can end up with two guys, like that's what I would do. But I like Zabel. Reluctantly, I'd be okay with Harmon. I think he's more of a second-round guy. Reluctantly, I'd be okay with Matthew Golden. I would like Pierce, though. Yeah, Zabel, Harmon, Pierce. One of those two, or
I
Golden.
love Pierce is a Campbell guy. Comes with a little baggage. We know how Campbell feels about baggage.
I agree with you.
Can I
That's the reason why Jalen Carter's not a Lion.
can I explain what it looks like the experts are doing?
Go ahead.
So there's two boards that have second round projections. Two of them have them taking at 60 JT
Tuimoloau, which I would love, by the
Ohio
way.
State.
from Ohio State
Which I
at
would love.
60.
I would love the Lions keep getting linked to Josiah Stewart from Michigan. I don't understand why Jack Sawyer is slipping. And like, what am I missing with Jack Sawyer? The guy's a gamer,
I see him going in like the 5th round.
dude.
I don't get it.
He'd be a steal here. And
don't get it.
on top of that, Tuimoloau is like a top 50 player. And he has been. Like, if Tuimoloau declared last year, he would have been a top 15 pick. So if the Lions get him in the second round this year, that'd be great. I just don't think he's the best edge rusher on his own team.
Right.
Yes. So I think the line of thinking is they can get an edge rusher later in the second round.
So the two mocks that have them doing that, one of them has them taking Tyler Booker at 28, who's off of our board, correct?
If it's a choice, and if this scenario arises, Booker's a better true guard, but he's a guard. And if it's a choice between Booker and Zabel, I like Zabel because he's a center.
Can play center.
The other
why
one
I
that has them doing that, they have them taking Josh Connerly at 28.
Tackle?
The
Yep.
D tackle.
Maurice Jones-Drew has them
Offensive
getting
back.
Michael Williams.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking of Harmon. I confused Connerly and Harmon because they both went to Oregon.
Uh,
Would love Michael Williams. Would be very into that.
as does Mel Kiper.
We just don't have him here. That's all. If Michael Williams is here, I think I wouldn't hate it at all.
So, do you think there's a possibility that Michael Williams makes it to 28?
No. I think they trade back. I think they're trading back out of the first round.
If you had to make a pick here with what we have left, are you
Zabel.
taking Gray Zabel?
Yeah.
Are you taking Gray Zabel?
Yeah, if we're making a pick here at this slot with this board that we're looking at, I'm fine with Zabel.
Would you be happier with Michael Williams?
On top of that, Zabel's the only offensive player I would be okay with at pick 28. He's the only name, unless there's no yeah, like it'd have to be one of the sexy receivers. But even still, like Luther Burden's still on the board in our draft as well. Yeah, I would like Michael Williams over Zabel as well. Or like at that point, like trade up for Mike Green. I think if they've shown that if someone is sitting there that they like, they'll go get him. If someone slips, like last year, Dallas Turner slipped to Minnesota. If guys start slipping, the Lions are going to start calling. I don't think they're picking at 28. I think they're going to trade out or they're going to trade up. I think it's going to be one of the two.
You
I
agree
don't
with
think they're
that?
gonna pick there.
Yeah.
Okay.
In this mock scenario, I'm fine with taking Zabel. That's cool with me.
29 is Washington. So we'll start out with a trade here. Field Yates has the Cleveland Browns trading up back into the first round with Washington to take Jackson Dart at 29.
Yeah.
So in this mock, they get Jackson Dart at
It'd be
29.
a good deal for the Lions if the Cleveland Browns made a phone call on Jackson Dart.
And they get Travis Hunter at 2.
Yep.
That'd be, if you're a Browns fan, that'd be hella good.
So, okay, the two trade scenarios with the Browns that we've gone through are 4 different guys. Do you like Jackson Dart and Travis Hunter more so than Shador Sanders and Abdul Carter?
I don't know.
Yeah, I like Jackson Dart and Travis Hunter better.
You do.
Yeah. Or they could, like the Browns, if Shador falls, like the Browns could totally pull the trigger on that. And make it
This
happen.
one to me is way more probable
Yeah.
because I don't see Shador making it to 24. So
I seriously think that the Giants will take a quarterback in this draft. I just don't think they can pass it up. What do you got? Tommy Cutlets, the ghost of fucking Russell Wilson. I mean, come on, dude.
Tommy Collins, baby.
What are you
Hey,
doing?
don't sleep on Tommy Collins. He's going to start a game this year. He's going to start a fucking game. The Giants' quarterback depth chart is currently Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Tommy DeVito.
I think that 30-30's probably got the best fucking chance of winning his job.
For Washington, what do you see Washington needing?
The top needs on a board that I'm
Well,
looking
they
at.
lost D tackle. They lost linebacker. They lost secondary. They've lost quite a bit on their defense.
I'm showing edge and receiver.
Yeah,
So, obviously, Field Yates has them trading,
they got
but
receiver.
I
Fuck, man.
don't consider Debo a receiver. I think he's going to be utilized in that out of the backfield. I think they need a bigger downfield threat. Like they need an X. And I don't think Debo's the X. I think he's more of an offensive weapon. So I think they need to link someone up with Terry McLaurin on the other side.
I really think that Debo on the field is going to really open up McLaurin to where this guy's going to be very hard to handle.
Tankathon has them taking Donovan Ezeraku.
I'm fine with it. Or Pierce, one of the two.
Zerline has them going Trey Amos.
I don't have a problem with that.
They need a corner.
They need a corner.
And Maurice Jones-Drew has them going with Ezra Thomas out of Florida State.
No, I think I'm fine with Ezeraku. I think that could make a lot of sense, and I like James Pierce as well here.
Corner's an issue for them.
I don't think that they're gonna have an aversion to taking if Pierce has those character concerns. I don't think that they're gonna have an aversion to taking him. I think that's an organization that's player friendly and works with players. And I think Pierce is the best edge rusher available.
You already know who's going to take Pierce.
The Chiefs.
No.
So we're going.
Oh, the
corner.
Eagles. Were you gonna say the Eagles?
Oh, yeah.
The Eagles.
They need a pass rusher.
We're going. Are we going Ezeraku or are we going corner?
I think they're going to get more value out of an edge rusher than they are over a corner.
You agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
The corners drop in our scenario where there was a run on corners. The corners drop off a lot. Like after it's those two guys.
After Amos and
yeah.
it kind of it's a who's who of we don't know.
Got it. Well, then let's go with that. Let's go with Ezeraku.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Buffalo.
Okay.
Maurice Jones-Drew has the Bills taking Emeka
Okay. I don't see him taking a receiver.
I do not see
I
him.
do, but it's not going to be Golden. Or excuse me, it's not going to be Abuka. Golden is still here. Golden is still sitting here. I don't even like this guy. He's just got such a high rating on every board that someone's going to take him before him.
That. Bills got presser. Listen, their defense was getting fucking shredded.
Yep.
They got to get off. They got to get their defense off
Harmon.
the field.
Zerline has them going Izaraku.
Harmon.
Field Yates. Or Kuiper has them going Trey Amos. And
I don't
Tankathon
hate
has
that.
them going with Derek Harmon.
Harmon.
Okay.
Harmon it is.
Okay.
Next up, it is the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you guys think the Chiefs need?
Well, I mean, their defense is still pretty dominant. So I would say offensive line. They need O-line bad.
Well, Maurice Jones.
That's my opinion. I don't.
What are your thoughts? before-
Yeah, he's not far off, and there's some good ones available. I think O-line or D-line.
I think
Interior-
O-line more than D-line.
Chris Jones has dropped off, and he's aging. And I can see them looking towards the interior very soon here because they have other assets,
Yeah.
right? Like they have Karloftis. Like there's guys that you could sink your teeth into on the edge.
Funny you should say that because Tankathon has them taking Kenneth Grant.
If he's there, yeah, 100%. We
I
just
don't
don't. We don't have him
He's
there.
gone off our.
We don't have him there. That's all.
So
So for me, the
Walter
best
Nolan.
available interior guy is Walter Nolan. We also have we still have no, it's Walter Nolan.
is Josh Connerly still on our board?
He is, yeah, and that's totally
Fields
plausible.
Yates
as well.
has them going with
to
him?
Replace who was it they traded?
Tooney.
Tooney.
Donovan Jackson from Ohio State's still there. If you want to
Josh
take a
Simmons as Zerline's pick here, and Maurice Jones-Drew has them going Jahade Barron, which I don't see.
Andy Reid has a history of taking really good offensive linemen, so I would say O-line here.
So who's our best O-line available then? Is it Connerly or
It's Connerly.
that? I think we go with that. I think we go with that, and that will fill that hole left that Tooney left. Pick number 32. Zerline has the Saints trading back up to pick 32 to take Jackson Dart.
That might happen.
He's still on our board, by the way.
Maurice Jones-Drew has the Philadelphia Eagles taking Gray Zabel.
Bruce, are you having fun over there today?
Oh yeah,
Gray Zabel.
so much.
Zabel as the perfect replacement for departing Mekhi Becton.
Well, we got Zabel's already gone.
Kuiper has them taking Jihad Campbell.
He's already gone.
And Tankathon has them taking James Pierce Jr.
James Pierce Jr. They need a pass rusher. That's who it's going to be.
Do they need a pass rusher?
Yeah. Can always use a pass rusher.
Well, I mean, yes, that seems to be the way.
They lost Sweat.
They
What's
did
his name
lose Sweat.
retired? The kid
Brandon
from Michigan retired. Brandon Graham retired. They're gonna go.
I will
The
say defensive end. On the left side, it's Moro Ojomo.
No, they do a 3-4 there, so I could see them going. But you know what? That's kind of now Nolan gets.
Nolan Smith.
Nolan Smith gets to take that spot that was left open, but they need to replace Sweat. So I could see James
What-
Pierce.
My gut here is this pick gets traded.
Okay.
Zolo.
Yeah, I could see them trading it, but
But for intensive purposes,
James Pierce,
you think
I think they go edge.
that one's a lock.
Not a lock. An edge rusher makes a lot of sense. They've lost some guys, and they love to like sprinkle in youth. It's good. It's a good time for them to take an edge rusher.
Then James Pierce it is, and a guy with character issues, which just fits the Philadelphia.
There you go. Perfect fit.
I want to
Perfect fit.
I want to talk about some of the look aheads here. The run of wide receivers that we predicted does happen. They have Tankathon has Ibuka going 33 to Cleveland, so they have them taking Travis Hunter and him. Luther Burden at 35 to the Titans. Your Travion Henderson going to the Cowboys at 44. And there's a huge run of corner here as well in the second round. Hairston, Amos, Benjamin Morrison. It seems like a pretty big run there. But jumping over to the Field Yates, Kuiper one, they did 3 rounds. Notable names they have going in round 2. Jaden Higgins going at 35. Luther Burden going at 36. Kenneth Grant not going till 38. Travion Henderson not going till 39 to Chicago. And then you get a run of corners after that. They have James Pierce going 43 to San Francisco. Siobhan Rebel going 44 to Dallas.
I don't think he's there.
I get one more question for you guys. So, Zolo, if you don't mind running through our mock draft, if you want to run through it with us real quick,
Yeah.
I think we should each pick a winner and a loser.
In round like in the first, just like a team winner and loser, or
Yeah. I think if we had to pick a player as a loser, it's probably Golden, right?
Yeah, Golden is still he's the highest player available.
Which, think about the reality of that. Who do we have Cleveland taking?
We have Cleveland taking Travis Hunter, and if that's the dream scenario,
That's the dream scenario.
that's the dream scenario. You can get 2 wide receivers
For the price of one.
Yeah, with Travis Hunter and Golden. I think that this is a dream scenario for Cleveland because they can use very little assets to move up and go get. If Jackson Dart or Shador are still sitting there at 25, like you can take 33 and go move up and go get one of those guys. That'd be a great deal for them. Real quick, just running through who's still left on our board, and I think we did a good job. By the way,
I think we did a really good job.
I should have saved this. Can I save this?
Bruce has got to write it down.
Matthew Golden is still sitting there. Jackson Dart, Walter Nolan. There's really 3. This is going to happen. This is going to actually play out this way. There's 3 really good receivers: Ibuka, Golden, and Luther Burden. And Luther Burden's going to make teams happy, just like what's his face did. Brian Thomas did for the Jags last year. Donovan Jackson is still sitting there. Nick Scourton from A&M. Trey Amos. Milroe is still sitting there for a quarterback needy team. Tylik Williams from Ohio State, Travion Henderson from Ohio State, Azaria Thomas, Benjamin Morrison, 2 corners, Boston College, Florida State and Notre Dame. Ariante Ezere, a swing tackle from Minnesota. Carson Schweizinger, who's a touted linebacker, UCLA. Landon Jackson, the edge who the Lions were linked to early in the draft process. Tui Mololao, like we mentioned. Darius Alexander, the interior guy from Toledo. Quinshawn Judkins is still sitting there. Running back people, Caleb Johnson from Iowa is still sitting there. It's one of Uncle Sam's boys. Jack Sawyer is still sitting there. Like there's
a lot of talent in
the second round is good. The second round is very good. I see a lot of contributors in the second round from this draft.
Who do you think was the big winner and the big loser?
We don't even know yet. I mean, we don't know anything yet.
Well, you have your guys who are your
We don't
favorites.
know anything yet. I mean,
We don't know anything about it.
I, for one, am going to
it's
keep
real-
drafting
It's real
here.
simple. Is Cam Ward really worthy of that first pick? I mean, that could decipher whether you're a winner or a loser right there. I mean, is he going to be able to come in and do what Jaden Daniels did? I doubt it.
I just took off the board Matthew Golden and Jackson Dart. I'm picking for the Titans now. They just got Emeka Ibuka. Like, some teams could stand pat and be fine. Jacksonville, you think they need another wide receiver? Cool, 36. Luther Burden's still sitting there.
Yeah.
The Raiders, corner, wide receiver, they're going to just miss on the run, but they can get Milroe at 37. I'm going to give him to them. Who else? Edge,
Would you take Milroe
Yeah.
that high?
Yeah, second round. He's a project though. Like you're gonna sit.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
he's gonna be. This might be
what I'm
applicable to
saying
all
is
these
you'll
quarters.
never know if this guy will ever pan out.
Well, I think he'll play eventually, but
Who's that kid that was playing at Michigan last year? Who's that kid, the quarterback?
Joe Milton, no.
No.
Um,
Last year. Orgy?
Orgy, yeah,
Oh,
he transferred. He transferred.
I seen he was
transferred.
doing little drills over there at UNLV.
Yeah,
he's
that's where he goes.
quarterback.
He goes UNLV. He goes
Yeah.
UNLV now.
So they showed him, and he was doing footwork.
The
He needs to learn how to throw the football.
The Patriots, if they don't go with a tackle at 4, an offensive lineman's going to be sitting there for them at 38. Like Donovan Jackson's still sitting there for me at least. Here, I can give him Nick Scourton. The Bears, running back, edge, tight end, like there you go. Travion Henderson's sitting there. They can probably get him in the second round. My 2 deep is just as fun as our 1
know.
deep right now.
I know. Maybe next week we should do the second round, or later in this week we should do the second round, because we are running up pretty close to the draft here. Maybe that's our next episode. Maybe we just figured it out. Maybe it's the second round
Okay.
is our next episode, because I actually thoroughly enjoyed this, and I think we did pretty good. And we do need to document this, because I think that we're actually going to do better than all the experts that were up here today, especially Maurice Jones-Drew. Especially Maurice Jones.
You'll shit if his shit comes out better than
If
everybody
Maurice,
else's.
hold on. If Maurice Jones-Drew mock draft comes out,
Yeah.
we're going to have some problems. But you want to know what's fucked up? That's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
That's usually
Listen, don't think for 1 minute that Cleveland's not going to try to move up into that first round to grab a quarterback. If they don't take Shador Sanders at 2, I believe they're
trying to
going to
get back
trade
and
up
get
to
him.
grab whoever's there. If Sanders slides that far,
There's
you
some
don't know.
damn good guys in the second round.
Mike Tomlin came out today and said that he had huge praise for Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to run this all over again at some point next week.
I got a feeling that somebody's going to move up into that first round to grab Sanders.
I think something could change before next Tuesday.
If he doesn't get past the Saints, or if he does get past the Saints, somebody's going to move up and grab him.
Is your gut telling you that he's gonna get past the Saints?
Yeah,
You think he's gonna go past the Saints?
You think so?
I do. Yeah, I
You
think
don't think
I
the
think
Saints are
I think
gonna go
Shador is going to
quarterback?
slip. I think Shador is going to slip. I think Shador and Jackson Dart are going to be priority targets once they're sitting there at 20, and teams are going to try and go and get value out of them. I think that's it. It just makes so much sense.
So you think he goes by? You think that they're really going to pass up a quarterback?
The Saints?
Yeah.
I do. I just think that there's not – I don't think any of these quarterbacks are top 20 players. And I think that the Titans are going to go with Cam Ward because he's the most polished and ready out of all of them. He's shown the most growth. And they might be able to win their division with him now if they play their cards right. They might be thinking that way, that we're a quarterback away. Whereas the other teams are not, and therefore, like the Saints are not a quarterback away. The Browns are not a quarterback away. So they might be able to wait a little bit and make it make sense later.
Giants?
The Giants, great example. The Jets, another great example. They might be able to wait, be patient, and
Seahawks?
trade assets to come back. I think the Seahawks are invested at this point in what they have.
With Darnold?
Yeah.
You think so?
I
They paid
do.
Darnold over $30 million a year.
Yeah. Well, that's the going rate, no?
Well, that's what I'm saying though. You paid him start.
Going rate is 50.
You didn't pay him. You paid him.
Yeah.
You paid Darnold Baker Mayfield money.
Yeah.
So you're rolling the dice with him.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that was very good and very productive, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. It'll be interesting to see, one, how things change from now till next week, and then how accurate we were next Thursday. I think that'll be really.
I'm still drafting over here. I want you guys to know
You're
that.
you're still going.
Yeah.
Perfect. He's gonna be all polished up. You better start drafting your second round because you got to get polished for the end of the week. You already know. You already got it down. It's already up there. Yeah. If there's any NFL teams out there looking for an assistant GM,
Ah, shit.
James Pierce, baby.
That's it. God bless the NFL.
Hey, Bruce, you awake over there?
Yeah, unfortunately,
What do you think's gonna happen, Bruce?
don't know, don't care.
Attaway, look at that.
Out of our control. What's gonna happen is gonna happen.
You're enshulling it?
Sure, if that's what that means.
Uncle Sam, do you have anything to add before we close today out? Zola, what about you? Do you have anything to add?
Goodbye.
No.
Did you make the Lions pick at 60 yet?
Yeah, I picked Jack Sawyer.
At 60?
Yeah, there was all the edges. He was the best available edge. There was a run on defensive linemen in round 2 for me. Yeah, a lot of D linemen went.
Bruce, you got anything to add back there, bud?
No, dude, this year sucks. The Lions aren't picking high up. That's all that matters.
Guess what? You might say this year sucks because the Lions aren't picking very
Well,
high up,
I'm
but it
saying-
would suck a lot more if they were
saying
picking
it
really high up.
Sucks that for the draft.
You never
Anything
know.
else is I'm happy with.
What happens if they trade down? Trade up, excuse me.
They could.
You're right, that is really fucked.
Listen,
That's
they got a
confusing
guy
as shit.
that they're looking at.
I've never
in the top
understood.
15.
Like, are you trading up or are you
I
trading
believe
down?
they
I've
move
never
up to
gotten it.
15. I believe they could. They have the.
Would they
have
move
the
up
pick to
from
move
2 to
up.
get Gibbs?
The Lions?
Yeah.
They traded back to get Gibbs.
Well, okay,
they
it was
picked-
JMO.
Yeah.
JMO,
they traded up.
JMO, they went up from 32. It was the Rams pick. They went up from 32 to
12.
11 or 12. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 11.
Yeah.
12. I thought they were going to take Jordan Davis.
Ah,
You gotta remember they were talking about a quarterback too.
they're not taking a fucking quarterback. Not in round 1.
Maybe they'll take Jackson Dart at 28.
And who knows? Maybe they might talk one of these teams into Hendon Hooker. Maybe they can talk it. Like maybe they could talk you come up, you take this pick. We'll give you Hendon Hooker. Like maybe you know what I'm saying. Like there's things that are on the hopper that we don't know about. There's something that's on the table that we don't know about right now. I could totally see them trading one of those names that are unsigned, that needs a contract extension that isn't signed.
How much?
You got to do it.
How
Think
much would they have to give up to go to 2 and grab Abdul Carter?
if we're a lot.
Yeah.
If we're going by, okay, the posters, like the ideal people that that Brad Holmes would copy would be Howie Roseman, so Philly, who does this right. And then the second one would be, is it Brett Veach in Kansas City? It'd be those two names. Those guys are known for trading away their own players that maybe they drafted to get younger and to get better. Howie Roseman does it all the time. He trades away good guys all the time. So it might happen.
Where's Darius Slay?
Yeah, exactly. But no, I'm talking about he'll trade guys that he's drafted. Like last year he got it right. He traded away what's his name to the Jets and it worked out. The guy didn't even play the entire year. Hassan Reddick didn't touch the field for most of the year. Yep. You know, like he knew he had to make a move here and there. People think he might trade Devontae Smith. People might think that Howie Roseman's going to trade Devontae Smith and go draft another receiver, or he might trade AJ Brown. People think that that's going to happen. That's on the table. You know, so there's something that we're not talking about.
Going out with Brown last year, I wouldn't be surprised.
Wouldn't shock anybody. Yeah. If it's Howie Roseman, wouldn't shock him. Like the Patriots the Chiefs trading away what's his face last year, the corner that they traded to the Titans. Not the it's because they drafted Trent McDuffie and it worked out. So, like there's a lot on the table that we're not talking about right now. It should be a fun week. Traded away
Tyreek Hill.
It's a great example.
Might happen again.
The best receiver in football, and you traded him and still won a championship.
Might end up happening again.
Huh?
Tyreek Hill might end up getting traded again. Seems like Miami's doing the fire sale. Fire sale rebuild, baby.
I mean, if he doesn't go to jail first?
If that doesn't end up in prison before next week.
End up back in KC. Watch.
Anything to add?
No.
Anything to add? Anything to add? Goose shooter?
Nope.
Goose shooting Bruce. Fire Bruce. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls. TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, you can watch us live on TikTok and YouTube. If you're going on YouTube, remember to click subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified when we go live. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back soon. Get ready for the draft.
Oh.